I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Wilson County Commissioners Court. Welcome. Today's date is Monday, August 24th, 2026. It is 9 o'clock a.m. As we normally do, we'll have our prayer by Elder Brown and then followed by our pledge of allegiance. Elder Brown.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the privilege we have of coming and serving you another day. Be with the proceedings here today. And we ask that your continued guidance and direction be with each one. Give us this knowledge and wisdom that we need to continue on with our service in this community. We pray in your name.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we're going to move to agenda item number 3. We have public comments, but before we go into that, I need to find out, I need to read through these and find out which agenda items are, because I suppose that you're going to want to talk public comments to that agenda item. Is that correct? Or nobody wants to talk? Okay, very good. All right. We have a number of them for 6 and 10. I'm going to mark those down so that I'll be ready to ask for those.
And 16.
And 16. All right. Okay. We have a number of speakers. We have a limited amount of time, 30 minutes. So, folks, I'd ask you to please try to get your comments to us. We cannot respond to you in public comments. We cannot. Okay? All right, we're going to start off with Dr. Richard, and I don't know how your last name is not legible. Yes, come on up, sir.
Good morning, Court. My name is Dr. Richard Nims. I am here to talk about data centers that are going around the state. Although I did hear Governor Abbott on Sunday on the national news program saying that he has suspended it. However, there is also a position that there are 300 new ones that are going to be grandfathered in. My comment today is not about water and it's not about electricity. It's about sound. There's been a number of studies on what these data centers are going to produce in terms of sound. One of them has pointed out that it's going to be like having a small jet airplane in your backyard constantly. We need to be thinking about that and what we want to do to the neighborhood. Even though they're out in the country, there is an ambient sound. It's similar, you might know it from elephants. And that might seem a little strange for Wilson County, although I think there's an elephant reserve near here. Elephants produce a sound that's very low key, but it travels for miles and it penetrates walls. Now, if you can imagine in your bedroom at night, trying to get to sleep, and you hear a rumbling sound constantly. That's what we're gonna be experiencing if we have a data center in Wilson County. It cannot be blocked, it goes through walls. That's why elephants can identify themselves miles and miles away. It's because of this rumble sound that they produce. This same sound is produced by data centers. When this issue comes back to us, I hope that you will take this into consideration, because it's going to affect everyone within miles of that data center. It's not going to be bound on a boundary, like you have a fence, or like they do on the interstate highways, or through where they put sound barrier walls in communities that sort of deflect the sound. This ambient sound is not deflected. So I hope that you will take this into consideration when this issue comes before you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Billy Martin.
Well, I'm back. Got a hypothetical today. I was just curious, hypothetically speaking, if we had somebody sitting on the commissioner's table up here, and might accidentally, on purpose, be working for somebody else that might be sitting in this room. Sheriff Fauci.
Judge,
Yes,
what item number are we talking about?
it's not.
Yes.
Here's the problem. Here's, ladies and gentlemen, here's the problem. Our form says it has not been corrected, and it says comment on an issue not on today's agenda. Until this is corrected, we're gonna do this.
Okay.
All right, go ahead,
So
sir.
that's not these disparaging words.
So just, this is a question, it's not trying to be disparaging, I think everybody ought to play by the rules and not try to be special and say, well, the rules for everybody else doesn't count for me. It was just kind of curious, because it seemed to me, with a little bit of the background that I've had, that it might be a conflict of interest. If somebody that's sitting on this table right here happened to be a reserve deputy investigator. Now, I'm not sure that that's so. That's why I said hypothetical. But if it is, it'd be real interesting. Because maybe, just maybe, I heard somebody help get a budget through for some people that wanted budgets and stuff. And that's just not right, folks. That's just not right. You can't be for the community when you have allegiance to somebody else. Thank you very much. I guess that ought to do it for me today.
Okay, the other comments will be reserved for those agenda items when they come up. Our certificates of completion awards and bond continuation. Training, the cybersecurity awareness training for Don Barnett, Angelica Cuellar, Jennifer Hosenflug, Jennifer Holman, Monica Lascano, Lindsay McCullough, Rosie Soto, Wendy Turquil, Sandra Villarreal, and Texas Association of County Cyber Awareness Training for Commissioner John Scott Aiken, bond continuations for Rachel Gonzalez, Administrative Assistant to the County Judge, and Liliana Lopez, Deputy County Clerk. Those entered into the minutes. Agenda item number 5, we have Kristen Lovis, County Auditor, 9:00 a.m. discuss, and it says discuss, take action, but we go to 5B, budget hearing, LGC 111007. Before we begin, do we have any public comments on this agenda item? This is a hearing. None? Okay, Ms. Lovis?
The proposed Wilson County fiscal year 2026-2027 budget was filed with the county clerk's office on August 14, 2026. and it was also made available on the Wilson County website for public review. The budget covers the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2026 and ending September 30th, 2027. As stated in the proposed budget, this budget will raise more revenue from property taxes than last year's budget in the amount of $1,150,027, which is a 4.7308% increase from last year's budget. Property tax revenue to be raised from new property and added to the tax roll this year is $524,068.04. Judge, at this time, you may open the public hearing and invite anybody who wishes to speak to provide comments regarding the proposed budget.
All right, is there anybody from the public who would like to come up and speak on this agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we move to agenda item E. Discuss and take action to propose a tax rate by a record vote.
The proposed tax rate is .424932 per $100 of value, taxable value. The no new revenue tax rate is .402607, and the voter approval tax rate is .424932 per $100 of taxable value. Because the proposed tax rate exceeds the no new revenue tax rate, the county is proposing to increase property tax revenues. The proposed tax rate does not exceed the voter approval tax rate. The notice reflects that the proposed tax rate would result in a tax levy of approximately $25,459,428 compared with last year's tax levy of $24,309,401, which is an increase of approximately $1,150,028. Judge, at this time, the court may discuss the proposed tax rate and entertain a motion to propose a tax rate of .424932 per $100 of taxable value, with the vote to be taken at a record vote. And this is for a proposed tax rate.
All right, the floor is open to motion.
Well, considering that with our preliminary budget, we got a lot more to ask than what we're doing. I'm gonna recommend it go to the vote of approval.
What would that number be, Commissioner, so we can have it for the record?
Well, I made a motion. So
Oh, okay.
that's my discussion.
All right, so we have a motion on that?
Well, if nobody else wants discussion, I'll make a motion to set the proposed tax rate at $4,424,932.
We have a second.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Akins. Is there any other discussion regarding agenda item number 5E? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, nay. Ayes have it, motion passes. 5C, discuss and take action to set tax rate hearing date.
The proposed tax rate hearing date is September 14th, 2026 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioner's courtroom, which is here, President, Wilson County Courthouse, 1423rd Street, Floresville, Texas.
Did you say it, 9?
Yes, sir.
Date again? Prison?
11/14.
September 14th.
I mean, 9/14.
Have we get past it? 9/14/26, okay. Have a motion.
Second.
No? Who's,
Oh, I thought you said have a motion.
You-
It was make a motion that we have the tax hearing set at 9 a.m. on September 14th, 2026.
Second.
motion made by Commissioner Akins, seconded by Commissioner Martin. Any other discussion regarding this action item of 5C? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. All right, we move to agenda item number 6. Now I'm gonna Save the public comments, so I'm gonna be calling your name right now before we go to that, and that will be the Floresville Peanut Festival Association, and I'm gonna read through the whole thing, because this is the whole agenda item. Discuss and take action on the Floresville Peanut Festival Association request for the following. County courthouse lawn and electricity setup and breakdown and festival noon Thursday, October 8, 2026 to 4 o'clock p.m. Sunday, October 11, 2026. Judges Conference Room for Executive Board Headquarters Vendor Payout noon Friday, October 9, 2026 to 4 o'clock p.m. Sunday, October the 11th, 2026. Portable light banks for lighting and safety noon Friday, October 9, 2026 to 8 o'clock a.m. Sunday, October 11th, 2026. Veterans Center on C Street for band hospitality, 5 o'clock p.m. Thursday, October 8, 2026 to noon, Sunday, October 11, 2026. Courthouse lawn for Goober Games, noon Tuesday, October 6, 2026 to 9 o'clock p.m., October 6, 2026. Courthouse parking for Carnival, 5 o'clock p.m., Friday, October 2nd, 2026, 7 a.m., Tuesday, October 13, 2026. Tax Office, Treasurer's Office parking for Carnival, 3 o'clock p.m. Wednesday, October 7, 2026 to 7 o'clock a.m. Monday, October 12, 2026 to correspond with approved closure times for 4th Street. Parking lot at Food Pantry on 4th Street and A Street for staging our 2 court floats for parade at 6 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. Saturday, October 10, 2026. Okay. Okay, folks, help me out here. Did somebody sign up for agenda item number 6? You did? One? Ray. Okay, Mr. Edmund, come on.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Our department for the Veteran Service Department was started being housed at this location that's being requested to be utilized. From my understanding, historically, it has always been used. Now, this past year, a lot of things have changed within that building itself that we're not housed in. So we have now kind of has more invested electronics, furniture. So I just want to bring it to the court's attention that we also had a former employee that was here with the county. I'm not sure what their involvement is still with the Peanut Festival. But between her and I, we communicated and had an understanding. And I just want to bring to the court's attention, if we can have a MOU established, I'm not sure if there's one already, but maybe a new one now that incorporates our department, our equipment, the county's equipment, that's there inside that building, just so we make sure if there's any liability in the future, that we know who to go to directly and speak to about covering any future incidents or anything like that. So that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, well, I think that if they use any of our property, they're liable for it if they break it, correct?
Yes, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. Yes, that's correct, but it wouldn't hurt to have an MOU.
Yeah.
If we don't have one, that's probably not a bad idea.
Well, let's work on that.
And I will work on it.
Okay. All right, great, thank you. Is there anybody from the Peanut Festival here today? Can y'all come up for just a minute? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Lindsay Engel. I'm the president of the Peanut Festival Association this year. I also have Albert Sines with me, who's the media past president, and Betty Frazier, who is in charge of our sponsorships.
I just want to make sure that we coordinate with our tax assessor collector's office. There's an important roadway that goes through there on the back to pay their bills. And sometimes Carnival gets a little ahead of their time and blocks things off. And we make sure there's coordination with Ms. Barnett on that, so that, because it comes up every year. Every year, they come in a little early, and which is fine, but they need to coordinate with her office so that she has smooth services for our citizens.
Judge, it's more than last. Last year, it shut down basically all of their operations by Thursday. And that's one of the items I wanted to talk about. That's got to stop. If y'all, I'd like to have an MOU, and we're gonna stick to that MOU, and if that MOU gets violated, it's gonna get shut down. It's ridiculous. It's gotten out of control and out of hand. People can't get in here to conduct their business. You're interrupting the operations of the county, and we can't have that. That along with Mr. Ray's comments about using that building. I don't know what space there is left to use, because you've got, your office is all set up in the front, right?
That's correct, Commissioner. It's very limited, so that's why an MOU I think is definitely needed at this time. I have not been contacted by the Peanut Festival to reestablish the event or anything like that. It is the first time I'm hearing it since it's been put on the agenda.
Yeah, because the Gator games and the use of the courthouse lawn is overlapping. Using courthouse parking for the carnival from 5 o'clock Friday, does it coincide with, let's see, where was it? Where was the other one? Yeah, the tax office parking lot is 3 o'clock Wednesday, so something seems to be wrong here, because that can't happen. You can't have the tax office parking lot until, what time you close, Dawn, 6?
We close at 5, we're out of there around 5:45,
So
6.
you can't use that area until after 5 PM on Thursday. Thursday. Because I know last year, we came to a conference on that Thursday, and it was a mess. Nobody could get in and out to our office. And, so we got to figure out how to do that better. It's up to you if you want to allow them to use your office. I mean, obviously, if they do, then they're going to have to pay for whatever security come in and go to the courthouse, all that, while they're using that space.
Yes, we always have our security. We contract with the county and the city to do our security. We do have a meeting with the emergency operations on the 26th, this Wednesday to coordinate.
You use my conference room, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Judge, my office is closed Thursday. We can't operate, so
Okay.
we are shut down.
Well, you
Thursday.
can if you've got space to operate and they're not in your parking lot and they're not blocking anything past where they're
Correct.
supposed to. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Historically and traditionally, we have our first night at the carnival on Thursday. That's why.
I know, and that's why we're bringing it up, that it started to squeeze in and circle that office. It didn't used to be that way. And so it's causing a problem.
We try to set the hours, and that's why there's a difference in the hours, because we try to set it to give more access to the
Right.
tax office.
But see, what happened was last year, not only was all that around our office, but the street was also blocked off. So we've got to have better coordination with the city to not close that street so that people can get in and out.
You're referring to Fourth Street?
Yes.
The reason for that is to create a bigger footprint to give the festival some.
Understood.
to breathe. And
Understood,
it's
but
become difficult
but
because
we've got to operate, sir. We've got people that drive up and they want to know, why is the tax office closed? They don't expect it to be closed. They can't get there. And some of them are elderly, so they have trouble navigating it, so.
Are we sure that happens?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion on agenda item number 8.
I'll make a motion to table approval until the county attorney's office can prepare the MOU.
Okay, there's a motion to table by Commissioner Morton, second by Commissioner King. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, okay, the motion is tabled so we get an MOU in place. Thank you. Agenda item number 7, we have Michelle King, Children's Alliance, South Texas, Children's Advocacy Center, discuss and take action to use 1105 Railroad Street for CAST annual trunk or treat event and approve use of halogen lights provided by individual precinct commissioners. Date, Saturday, October 24th, 2026, Setup begins at 4:30 PM, the event opens to the public at 6 PM, and the event closes at 8 PM with cleanup to follow. Is there anybody here from CAS? Oh, okay. All right, I didn't look up, I was reading.
Yes, I'm here to just do that, ask you for our yearly help with it. We need it's the large parking lot on Railroad, so the one by the library and the Justice Center. It is the most perfect parking lot for a trunk or treat because it's very contained. It's a safe space for kids to engage with the community. We track about 1,000 people coming every year now, and we obviously need it kind of lit up. It's about 2 weeks after the festival.
I believe precinct 1 and 2 can use their.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, all right, very good. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Mine wasn't working last year, so I did it.
And no problem.
Okay, they're all
The
done.
question is how many you need?
Definitely 2.
Okay. We'll take it. Okay.
Okay, because my boss is gonna be like, no, 3, 2.
All right, I'll ask for a vote. Who makes the motion?
I'll make a motion to allow CAC, Children's Alliance South Texas, CAS, rather, to use 1105, the parking lot across the street from 1105 Railroad Street, for the annual trunk or treat event for use of college and
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner King. We have any other discussion on regarding agenda item number 7? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you. Item number 8. A, discuss and take action to approve cooperative sharing agreement, Alamo Area Radio Interoperability Network between the Alamo Area Council of Governments and Wilson County. Do we have anybody from ESD here that wants to talk on that? Well, Chief Lopez is here. Good dog. You didn't want to talk on that? I think that was supposed to be Bobby Blankenship sent that in. It's on the, take action on the, approve a cooperative sharing agreement between Alamo Area Radio Interoperability Network between the Alamo Area Council of Governments and Wilson County.
That's gonna have to be on him, Joe.
It's for what, sir?
He's gonna have to answer to that.
Okay. Yeah, I should have been. Let's just discuss and take action. It was supposed to be here. You want to come back to that in time?
We'll just, do we need to do something eventually or not?
Just going off of what, reading that, I would assume so. That's gonna give the county the capabilities to communicate, whether we go to assist Bear County or other surrounding counties, and the same vice versa to us. So I would assume that it would be something that needs to be talked about.
Well, I think we should take action on it then. It's a safety issue.
Yeah, but we don't know if this also some money or anything, if there's an agreement or signing, we haven't seen it.
The county attorney's office.
Not to my knowledge, actually. It wasn't, brought up to me by, Ms. Hicker, so I don't believe we see it.
All right, I'm going to recommend we table both 8A and B until we get somebody from ESD 1 over there to explain that, and it's been reviewed by the county attorney.
Motion to table.
Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner King. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? The motion is, the agenda item A and B is tabled. Move to agenda item number 9, discuss and take action on to appropriate action concerning the presentation of Wilson County local match commitment requirement of Camino Real Community Service for fiscal year 2027. Do we have anybody from Camino? Oh, yes, good morning. Juan.
Good morning. We do have some packets that we'd like to distribute.
Let's make sure we identify ourselves for the record. We're being recorded. Thank you.
My name is Veronica Sanchez. I am the Executive Director of Camino Real Community Services. I am here to request continuation of our local match agreement that we have with Wilson County. We represent the local mental health authority, local intellectual and developmental disability authority for Wilson County. We are comprised of 9 counties total, Wilson being one of those. Camino Real Community Services is one of 39 centers across the state of Texas. In your packet, we have multiple items that I hope you get an opportunity to review. Before I go over the local match agreement, I did want to let you know what we have done through July 31st, 2026. Our fiscal year operates on a state fiscal year, starting with September 1 of each year. We have served over 2,400 individuals through our mental health services department, 577 of those being youth, children and adolescents, and over 1,800 adults. We have facilitated through our mobile crisis outreach services, numerous hospitalizations, inpatient psychiatric hospitalizations. The state of Texas, through Health and Human Services Commission, does provide us funding for placement of individuals in inpatient psychiatric hospitals. So it's an important role that we play because our access to San Antonio State Hospital has really diminished over the years. They are mostly taking forensic patients, meaning persons that are generally sitting in a county jail. And so most of that has been taken over to our state mental health facilities, which for that reason the state has given us money to be able to help people get into hospitals. Those are generally very serious, complex situations which require 24/7 oversight. And that was a total of $230,914 in terms of what we have spent in placement of individuals. With that, I also want to mention that we do provide a work center on 3rd Street, and that's to assist individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and we have done that for many years. I've been with the center over 29 years, and we have had a very good operation, which helps people that have intellectual disabilities have a place to go during the daytime, Monday through Friday, and it does assist the families with making sure that these individuals have an opportunity to learn skills to produce work. They actually are bottling or labeling salsa products. They also do shredding and other activities that really help people try to be productive citizens of your county. The current arrangement that we have with Wilson County is the provision of our adult mental health office, which is located on B Street. It's 1005 B Street. And then we also have an office for our intellectual and developmental disabilities administrative staff who those individuals are located on 3rd Street here. If you're unfamiliar, there is the 24th edition of Texas Mental Health Laws, or Texas Laws Relating to Mental Health. That is in your packet. There is also a county responsibility with regards to the provision or making available services to the Wilson County residents. Again, that is the role that we play as a local mental health authority and local intellectual and developmental disability authority. The request today is highlighted on the local match agreement. And it is document, I think it might, I'm not sure if it's in all the packets, but for sure it is going to be made available. The value that we have placed on the buildings that are in use is $163,742. That is an annual value. It's based on fair market. And so that is the request that we're asking today. It's just continuation of allowing us to remain in the buildings that we are located in, so that we can continue to do our outpatient services, our 24/7 crisis outreach services.
Mr. Allen, I have one question you can help me out with. They've had an interlocal agreement with us. We do this every year. The interlocal agreement was signed in 2001. Do we need to revisit that and have a current one? It should, not use it.
Yeah, it probably if it continues in perpetuity, then you don't have to. But you have the right to, you just have to let them know 60 days before August 31st if you want to redo it. My guess is, we can take a look at it, and you all have changes that you'd like to make, we can certainly revise it, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
Well, nothing's changed, so.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
our original charter. We were actually operated by the state of Texas up until September 1, 2000. They transitioned all centers, community centers, to standalone centers. And this was our original charter that was required in order for us to break away from the state to continue. We used to be an 11-county region. We actually had Gonzales and Guadalupe counties. And Guadalupe and Gonzales counties went over to Bluebonnet Trails MHIDD Center. The remaining counties, the 9 counties that we have, which are Atascosa, Frio, Carnes, Dimmitt, Zavala, LaSalle, McMullen, and I'm sure I'm gonna miss one. Maverick. So, it's just something that we were required to do in order to establish ourselves, and those were the original judges that signed off on the interlocal agreement back in 2001, I believe, were the signature dates. And that was required through Health and Safety Code in order to become a center.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion on this agenda item.
I'll make a motion to continue to provide the local map. Being providing village, reality community services for fiscal year 2027.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Aiken. Any other discussion regarding agenda item number 9? Here now, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? This have it, motion passes. Thank you, and thank you for what you do for the community. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We move to agenda item number 10. We have Gary Martin, Commissioner Precinct 1, 10A, discuss and approve the review of the amended tax abatement application submitted by Moonstone Solar and Dow Energy for completeness under the Wilson County policies and guidelines and determination of whether to proceed with diligence and the proposed project, including consideration of a reinvestment zone at a future meeting. We have a number of people that will be speaking. I have Ms. Kayla.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Kayla. I'm a rural resident of Wilson County. I'm here to comment on the agenda you have before you. I request that you vote no on this item regarding Moonstone. I further request that you follow other counties and places such as Colwell County and suspend indefinitely granting any requests for tax breaks for solar farms, transmission lines, or data centers, at least until after the next legislative session. I further request that you, can I speak on 16 too?
No, not till we get to 16.
Okay, so.
And I'll call you back up. Okay, thank you. Mr. John Doe.
Good morning. Hello, my name is John Doyle, and I'm a member of the Wilson County Resource Preservation Project. According to emails captured by a Texas Public Information Act opens records request submitted to Wilson County on August 4th, The Floresville Technology Campus, a $10 to $15 billion hyperscale data center and natural gas power plant complex, is coming to the Floresville area. The first email was sent May 5th, 2026, entitled Floresville Technology Campus, Wilson County, Sustainable Development Planning. In this email, Jeremy Cook, the CEO of 3DI, wrote, quote, I am leading the development of the proposed Floresville Technology Campus, LLC, which will be a sustained design large-scale infrastructure project proposed to be developed at 2517 County Road 302, Floresville, Texas, 78114. An earlier email was sent on September 23rd, 2025, entitled Request for a Roundtable with 3DI. In this email, Jeremy Cook, the CEO of 3DI, wrote, quote, we are targeting sites 250 to 700 acres capable of supporting 250 megawatt to 1 gigawatt data center campuses that can meet our development criteria. Elsewhere in this email, Cook writes, we are in commercial discussions with 2 independent power producers for this project. Proposed 145 megawatt solar project in the queue with a targeted COD of Q3 2028 in Wilson County. International NGCC developer with a queue position for turbines with 200 megawatt bridge to power solution COD 2027. Now, we don't have any fancy subscriptions to interconnection dashboards or insider knowledge, and the solar development was not explicitly named, so we cannot say with absolute certainty which solar farm Cook was referring to. However, the large generator section of the ERCOT GIS reports published between June and December of 2025 yielded only one 145 megawatt solar farm in Wilson County, and that's Moonstone Solar. Maybe we just aren't privy to insider information, maybe plans have changed since. But the fact that the power output of Moonstone Solar at the time was 145.81 megawatts, and the development will interconnect to the same 135 kilovolt line that passes close by the FTC site at 6.5 miles away, is a tall stack of coincidences. Given your appropriate frustrations at the Clear Fork developer who only announced their power purchase agreement with Meta after the tax abatement negotiations had concluded, we figured we would give you a heads up. We've printed copies of these emails for you to review if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Amanda Clifton.
I live off of County Road 302, down from what I'm hearing is the proposed data center. I only heard about this a couple days ago. We called the neighbors on 302 and nobody knew anything about this, but we're all extremely worried. What is happening in Wilson County is alarming. We moved here for peace and quiet. To raise our child and raise livestock. We would have never moved here, ever, if we knew that this was the future of Wilson County. I pray that as a county, we do not follow the same mistakes as some of these other places in the other nation, in this nation has made. I feel like we need to be wise and look to the other counties that have let these entities in, and it's drastically affected the communities around them. Communities say that their water has turned brown, low water pressure, flooding because the data centers have changed the layout of the land, farmers who report that their livestock are no longer being able to have any future cattle. That doesn't even touch on the noise, air, light pollution. If you're not aware of these issues, I beg you to look into it. We live in a drought-prone area in the United States. Most of these data centers are under-reporting the actual amount of water that they use. Are we able to risk this precious commodity? Have we not learned from other places such as Corpus Christi, and now that they're in such dire straits because of their water issues? Texans should be looking out for other Texans. This is putting profit over the health and well-being of the citizens of this county. Are you willing to bet your health, my health, or children's health on these data centers being any different from what we've seen across the nation? We need to start being aggressive and stop the destruction of our land and water before it's too late. And just like somebody had made mention of the noise, I have a brief clip of what some of these data come. This is what the data centers produce.
Put it up to your microphone.
24/7. Do we want this in our community?
Thank you. Pam Shaw? Pam?
I'll take my time.
Sorry?
I'll take my time. No problem.
Yeah, okay. All right. Crystal Smith?
Good morning, Commissioners. Crystal Smith. I live on County Road 329, which is one county road over from the proposed data center. 77 acres, 3 generations, and 1 decision made in this room could completely, permanently change what my family believed that we were building for the future. My husband and I own 50 acres just 1 county road away from where this proposed data center is. My parents recently purchased the adjoining 27 acres to move here from New Mexico, so I can help care for them as they age and they can live with their grandkids. We chose this land because it's rural. We are investing in it, raising our children on it. The potential of having livestock on it, we're still building that. We're building a legacy that I hope to leave to my children one day. And now I have to wonder, what happens to that legacy when you put a 700-acre industrial development 1 county road away from it? In my backyard, I will be able to see it and hear it with my neighbors on County Road 302. What happens to our property values, our groundwater, private wells, our livestock and wildlife, our dark skies, our quiet nights? What are the long-term effects? Those questions deserve answers before decisions are made, not after families like mine are forced to live with the consequences that you make or you choose. As a certified public accountant and a business owner in this community, I understand revenue, I understand investment, and I understand economic development. Not everything of value belongs in a financial statement. At what point does projected revenue become more important than the quality of life of the people you represent? Because our land is an investment too. Families are putting their life savings, labor, and futures in these properties. We're building homes, improving land, and creating something we hope our children will inherit. Government should not prioritize the revenue generated by one development while neighboring landowners are left carrying the cost to their property, resources, and way of life. And make no mistake, this isn't just about one data center. It's about what comes next. I believe allowing industrial development on this scale is a death sentence to our rural way of life and everything that comes with it. The livestock, the wildlife, the land, the water, the quiet, the freedom, and space to raise our children the way we choose. Those things aren't standing in the way of progress. Those things are this community. As a Christian, I have deep concerns about where our dependence on massive technology, infrastructure, centralized digital systems, surveillance, and economic control ultimately leads. I recognize others may not share that belief, but I will not remain silent on mine. What are we trying to build, and what are we willing to destroy in order to build it? If the goal is to transform our rural community into an industrial corridor, then tell the people who live here. Tell us, communicate with us. But if the goal is to represent and protect the families who already call this place home, then protect it while there is still something to protect. I strongly oppose the approval of this data center, and thank you for your time.
Ms. Candace Stevens?
Good Good morning, Commissioners and Judge. My name is Candace Stevens. I'm here today as a resident, a property owner, a business owner, and a member of this community who cares deeply about the future of Wilson County. 16 years ago, my husband and I chose to move to Floresville because he was beginning his professional career as a veterinarian. We weren't just looking for a place to build a career, though. We were looking for a place to build our family. We chose Floresville because of its rural character, close-knit community, and the beautiful land and open spaces that make this area special. We have been incredibly blessed to purchase a piece of land where we operate a small cow-calf operation, and that property has also given our children the opportunity to grow up with horses and to competitively compete in rodeo events. This is not just property to us, it's a way of life. That's why why the proposed data center concerns me so deeply. I do understand the potential economic benefits that are being presented, but I also believe that when a project is potentially transformative to an entire area, the question cannot simply be, how much money will it bring? We have to ask what cost the people who already live here will have to endure. What will it cost our agricultural land and water, like many others have said? What will the noise levels be, both during construction and after completion? And what will it mean for the rural character of this community? A project of this magnitude deserves careful scrutiny, not just of the tax revenue, but of its long-term impacts on agriculture and the quality of life of the people who live immediately around it. My family did not move here expecting that a massive technology campus would eventually be built right next door. We made long-term decisions based on the rural character of this community. We've invested heavily in the land, livestock, and a way of life that depends on having the open, usable rural property around us. I am not opposed to economic development, but I am opposed to development being considered without fully understanding what we may be giving up in exchange for it. I'm also opposed to being sold out to $1 million corporation by our county officials. So today, I'm asking this court to slow down, ask difficult questions, verify vague statements that were given in emails. I'm asking you to require complete and independent information and carefully consider the people who already call this place home and who voted you into your positions before even moving forward with tax abatements or any other incentives for these companies. Please remember that behind every parcel of land are families like mine, businesses like mine, homes like mine, and years of investments. My family chose Floresville 16 years ago because we believed this was a place where we could build a life. And we've spent 16 years doing that. I'm asking you to protect the qualities that made families like mine choose Wilson County in the first place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Mike Steele?
Judge, I'd ask, these folks are gonna speak on data center is not on the next one.
Well, okay, so I just said that earlier, Commissioner. We have not changed this form, and this form does not say that. It says comment on an issue not on today's agenda. Until we change this form.
Well, if we're gonna do that, then we should be looking at
Go ahead, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
I'm sorry, what was your name, sir?
My name is Mike Steele. I'm a resident of Wilson County, been here about 5 years. We moved here to get closer to our daughter. I have something that's related to data centers, but also the electricity. There is a computing system called fractal computing, and this is for your consideration. It's called Fractal Computing. They have a website. It's called Omega for America. They claim, and from what I've researched, is probably a pretty good claim, that they can reduce the computing requirements of electricity and water, etc., all of that stuff, by 90%, pretty much. So, if that's true, the data centers and the added electrical, the wind farms, all of that sort of stuff is going to be obsolete. So, anyway, I'm here to ask you to please go to their website and consider what they have to offer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jason Lowry.
Good morning. My name is Jason Lowry. I come back in front of you this morning to say that I'm not opposed to the idea of growth in our community. However, any project should be able to stand on its own merit and not require a tax abatement to be viable. It should not harm our wildlife. I'm concerned about a solar farm that can catch fire, similar to the rooftop solar fire in Los Angeles back in June that burned for over a week even with fire department's quick response, they could not put the fire out. We have high winds out here. I know. I felt them while I was building my garage myself. If a fire like that got going out here in June, July, August, September, really any month, but especially the drier ones, we would have a real problem on our hands. I have you ever battled brush fire? I have. A few years ago, my neighbor's pasture caught fire. It took multiple fire crews and almost every family on the street to keep it contained from destroying homes. The idea that a solar project will only train firefighters and not have a designated fire station on site that they are paying for, or at least their taxes help the county offset with the cost, is going to put people at risk. If you give them a tax abatement or any other hyperscale data center project one, you better not raise our taxes to cover the cost. These big corporations that are eyeing our land for exploitation don't need the money. These projects have not been transparent with the communities, and they're not open to scrutiny. Frankly, I don't trust them. Seeing what has been happening around the country, I don't know why anyone would take them at their word. If it was only a solar project and no hyperscale data centers were happening across the state, would they even be trying to build it to benefit us? I doubt it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh boy, I'm having trouble with reading this. Gabriel, last name please? Come on up, sir. Thank you for helping with that. I got to read that right.
Spell it for me, sir.
H-Y-N as in nautical, I-E. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Gabriel Heine. I'm a Wilson County property owner and taxpayer, and I'm here regarding Agenda 10 concerning the amended Moonstone Solar Scout Energy tax abatement application. I respectfully ask this court to deny the tax abatement, decline to create a rate investment zone for this project, refuse the development agreement as currently presented, and request a one-year moratorium in order to honor the March 9th policy requirements made by this commission court. I want to emphasize that I'm not asking the court to decide whether solar energy is good or bad. I'm asking you to protect the county's interest before giving away county tax revenue via the policy adopted by this court on March 9th. Said policy was adopted after a public hearing in which citizens raised legitimate concerns about groundwater protection, independent studies, and environmental impacts. It also says that the court is under no obligation to provide an abatement for any project. It further requires the county to consider, among other things, the project's environmental impacts, a feasibility study, economic spin-off, job creation, and public costs and benefits. Regarding today's agenda, I respectfully ask the court not to confuse the application's completeness with justification. Before Wilson County grants the tax incentive, I believe the county should be able to demonstrate via an independent feasibility study that public benefits justify the tax revenue being given up and that the county is protected from the project's long-term financial and social costs. Specifically, I ask, has the required study been performed? Does it actually address the real issues facing the county? What are the county's projected costs for roads, drainage, emergency services, and other infrastructure? What financial assurances exist for decommissioning and restoration? What happens if the project is sold, expanded, substantially changed, or abandoned? There are other questions to ask. Why is such a large solar farm needed in Wilson County? A farm which utilizes less than half of that. A solar field that's almost as large as the city of Floresville itself is 2,600 acres. That's 4 square miles. Solar field itself is only 5.7. And this solar farm uses only 11 to 1,200 acres for the actual solar arrays. What are they doing with the other 1,500 acres of land? And when do they plan to tell us? Regarding the proposed development agreement, what exactly is included in reimbursement of county expenses only? And does that agreement protect taxpayers from costs that may not initially be classified as county expenses? I'm asking you to exercise caution and honor the March 9th revisions, not to propose private development. A tax abatement is a financial decision made on behalf of every taxpayer in Wilson County. If the project is economically beneficial on its own merits, it can demonstrate the benefit in detail. I therefore respectfully request that you deny the Moonstone tax abatement and reinvestment zone, decline to approve the development of agreement until these issues are resolved, and consider a one-year moratorium on new tax abatements and reinvestment zones for large-scale energy projects, so that the county can carry out the required feasibility study and assess the environmental and social concerns impacted by this and other projects raised on March 9th.
Thank you. Shelby Westgore? Westgore, okay, yeah.
Good morning, I'm Shelby Westcourt, this is Annie Westcourt. We live on County Road 302, and I'm here to speak about the proposed site for the data center. I'm not here because I'm against growth or progress. I'm here because I believe there has to be a point where we ask what kind of community we actually want to build. My family and I moved out here because we wanted something simple, peace and quiet. We wanted to get away from the constant noise, traffic, and congestion of San Antonio. We wanted to raise our kids somewhere where they could grow up with open space, quiet mornings, and a sense of peace. We made a conscious decision to leave the city so that we could find that life. Now we're left wondering if it'll last long enough for our kids to enjoy it as they grow up. A data center isn't just another building, it brings significant industrial activity, construction, traffic, noise, lighting, infrastructure demands, and a permanent change to the character of the area. And once something like that is built, we don't get to undo it if we later realize it wasn't the right fit for our community. In addition to the day-to-day issues, we know that data centers house thousands of servers the size of a small refrigerator. To add to insult to injury, they need to be replaced every 18 months. How are those disposed of, and what kind of environmental impact does that have with that disposal? I'm asking our leaders to think beyond what this project could bring financially and consider what it could take away from the people who already live here. We chose this place because of what it is, and I hope we can protect that and make sure that our kids get to grow up with the same peace and quiet that brought us here in the first place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Marie Orr?
Good morning. My name is Marie Orth, and I'm here representing Lissy Nickel. I'm here today to address agenda item 10. Lissy Nickel is against the tax abatement application from Moonstone Solar, Scout Energy, or any other company coming into Wilson County asking for a tax break. How many businesses have resided in Wilson County and have never asked for a tax abatement? We have invested our own money into our company's improvements, and we won't be leaving. This project will benefit and create jobs for people outside of Wilson County who will be responsible for disassembling this solar field after the investors leave and are no longer here to operate. It will be another eyesore in Texas like the one I passed the other day on 1604. It looks terrible. They're all facing the wrong direction. Every single one of you are the gatekeepers for Wilson County. And we ask you to make the best decision for the taxpayers of Wilson County. Once again, we oppose the abatement application.
And last, be Ms. Kitty. Ms. Kitty here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's here, she was just.
Yeah.
Mike doesn't pick it up. I don't hear.
Okay, am I loud enough now?
At the risk of sounding like a broken record that you've already had to listen to 1,400 times, I want to point out that we don't know what is actually defined here. We don't know actually what it means when it says the amended tax abatement program. We don't know what that application includes. And as you know, I believe that the problem is in the details. Also, since the last time we looked at one, the governor has kind of changed the floor for a lot of these projects. And we don't know how that impacts this particular project. So I suggest that we not do this until that kind of settles itself out. And in addition to that, I actually have a problem with the developer who wants the contract to go through paying for the attorney that's going to write it on behalf of the county. Because I believe that you need to follow the money. And you have to wonder where the loyalty of that attorney will actually lie. And that, I'm sure, is what part 2 of this thing is referring to. So please, I think this is time to hit a delay and get a little more input before we do this. Thank you.
Okay, that's all the public comments for that agenda item. Now I'll invite somebody from the project Moonstone Solar Scout Energy. They want to come up and address the court.
Judge, that's point of order. I'd like to go to 31A for just a second.
You do what now?
You can go to 31A for just one moment. That's our comment.
I'm not.
He wants to move to
31A.
Break the rules.
We ain't gonna break the rules, but we'll suspend the rules. I need a motion.
I'm going to make a motion to suspend the rules, go to 31A.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Akins. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, the rules have been suspended to go to.
Yeah, so I can't remember how many court sessions ago we had this discussion, and I know there's a whole bunch of new people here today. So I want to address the data center portion of it, because it's important that you all understand that this court does not have the statutory authority to stop the data center, period. End of story. We do not. We have been advised by legal counsel not to initiate anything that would be called a moratorium against a data center. Help me, Commissioner Aiken, was it Rockwall County? Or some county up north?
It was Hood County.
Which one? Hood, yeah, Hood County. In North Texas, declared a moratorium and were promptly sued for, I don't know, $150 million. Bad, that county. I don't think you want us to expend lawyer fees for doing something silly like that. So be advised, if they don't come to us and want to work with us and be a member of the community, there is absolutely nothing that we can do to stop it. Okay? Just want to make that clear. Okay. Judge, we move back to the agenda item.
All right, we're gonna go back to agenda item number 10. We'll have our folks from the solar farm come up. You can address
Yeah, you know, I don't know, Ms. Fernandez, do you want to do your presentation first, or are you going to do it, or?
That's up to you if you want to hear.
Yeah, let's go through the presentation, because I think you might be a little bit surprised. Ms. Kibbe just talked about, she doesn't know what's in the amended application, so let's do that, because that's in there. This is Ms. Blakely Fernandez, Fernandez Law Firm.
Thank you, Commissioner.
My name is Blakely. Is that echoing a little bit? My name is Blakely Fernandez. I'm with Bracewell Law Firm in San Antonio. And I work with the county on your economic development projects and your economic development applications. In response to one of the questions from an audience member just now about the payment of fees, the way we structure this is very much like a bank. If you go to get a bank loan, part of your obligation is to pay the bank's lawyers because the bank doesn't want to incur fees for doing diligence on your loan. So we do the same thing. Every private party that comes to the county can't create this accumulation of legal fees for the county. That wouldn't be fair. So we charge the private party for the legal fees so that the county gets the benefit of the diligence without incurring costs. Also, to build on what Commissioner Martin said on data centers, the state of Texas has just been at war with local government, and counties in particular. You have no authority outside your very limited actual building permits to restrict anything that happens in the county. So when economic development projects come forward, there is some benefit in looking at agreements that allow the county then to contractually put parameters around projects in a way that you could not do statutorily. So for the project before you today, to be clear, this is a solar abatement application. I was here about a month ago, and we talked through this. The application since then has been amended in response in part to some of the comments that were heard by the public that day. The most important being that the applicant has agreed that within the reinvestment zone that they are requesting, there would be no data centers. So that restriction would be built into that reinvestment zone. Here is the schedule that we're working off of right now. So we're just as far as that red line. This is today the court to consider the amended application for the completion of the development, for the, that's my typo, amended application for the project, and then for the development agreement. If you decide to proceed ahead, then there's a calendar that follows, and I'll deliver the packet at the end of this meeting to the judge that has all of those dates in it. The notices for your overlapping jurisdictions, newspaper notices, etc., will all be in that packet. All right, so I'm going to go, well, you've got lots of new folks here, so I was going to go quickly through this because we did this at the last meeting, but I'll go through it with some detail because I think we've got a different crowd here today. The project before you is a 145 megawatt photovoltaic power generation facility.
This is the amended.
This is the I'll tell you what's been changed. This is the same right now. So 145 megawatt solar power facility. The investment is $145 million. They anticipate commencing construction the first half of 2028. Construction would be completed in 2029. They're asking for an abatement term of 10 years. That's statutorily set at 10 years. The project life would be 30 years. The investment, the location is listed here, generally southwest of US 181. It's 3,628 acres for the zone. The project itself would be 1,400 acres. Solar projects don't produce a lot of jobs, so 3 full-time jobs plus some construction jobs. It's possible there will be some additional landscaping, agriculture, animal maintenance, those kinds of jobs as well. And the wages will be the minimum prevailing wage, is specialized by the Department of Labor. That's in their application. These are all the things that they've suggested. In our previous agreements, we've required the wages to exceed the mean wage for the county. So that's something we would talk about if we proceed forward. In terms of, is the application itself complete? Does it meet your policy requirements? You'll see here that it does. It's in excess of $1 million. There's not a lot of new jobs created, but there are some. The abatement would be on your M&O taxes only. That means the INS side, your debt service side, would still receive 100% of the tax rate. With the existing property taxes, whatever amounts being paid today will continue to be paid. There wouldn't be any reduction for the county. And the project is eligible under state law. I've noted here that the taxes that would not be abated in addition to your INS are all of the other jurisdictions that overlap in this area. Okay, so this slide shows the first amendment to their application, which is within the reinvestment zone, there would be no data center projects. That means if they violate that, this agreement would be voided, and they'd be responsible for back paying all of the taxes and paying 100% of the taxes going forward. On the site and improvements, what you see in that paragraph there under the application column, this is very traditional as to what you would expect to see in a solar project, all the way from the underground collection systems, transmission lines, down to fencing, substations, fire suppression. The productive life of the improvements is anticipated to be 30 years. Somebody mentioned concern about decommissioning and would the projects just be left, sort of to rot at the end of its life. State law has been changed in the last session, and so projects like this are required to have a decommissioning agreement with the landowners. They're required to have a bond for decommissioning. So that piece is managed under state law. Because it would be in your agreement as well, then you would also have a cause of action if for some reason they violated state law. In terms of economic spinoff, that's really about construction for solar projects. They don't have a lot of upstream or downstream users. A requirement for local contractors to be involved in construction and local suppliers, local service contracts. That's not part of their application, but that can certainly be part of our agreement. Again, on jobs, small number of permanent jobs, more significant number of construction jobs. And on the public cost and benefit, the things that we're really thinking about are roads. This project doesn't appear to link to any county roads. It appears that it'll use primarily state roads. Should that change, or should there be damage to county roads, the agreement would require reimbursement. If we know it's going to change in advance, we'll do a road use agreement. Public safety would fall to the county. Your ESD will manage fire and EMS, and they receive the full tax benefit. In terms of feasibility, when we talk about a feasibility study for a project, an economic development project, what we're really looking at is the feasibility that the project's going to be successful, that it's going to last for the term of the agreement, that it's going to last for the term of the useful life. Because one of the things you want at the end of the agreement is to be collecting your full taxes for the rest of that useful life. So for this project, Scout Clean Energy is a significant developer of solar projects. They are a subsidiary of Brookfield. They were acquired in 2022 by Brookfield. That's a global investment firm. They've got about $142 billion in assets under management. And you can see where their projects are around the country on that map. Their original abatement agreement, they had requested to have 55% of the state's, of the county's M&O taxes abated. That has been changed in their revised proposal, so we could jump 2 slides here. The revised proposal proposes a 50% abatement, so they would pay about 5% more. I will say we were all working off of an M&O number that was previously posted on the county's website that was actually your full tax rate. That's all been cleaned up. You've got a whole new structure on your website that's much cleaner and easier to read, but in your truth in taxation, the M&O is broken out instead of listed as the full tax rate. So their initial proposal was on that 0.40596 tax rate. The M&O tax rate is 0.396182. So they had initially proposed payments that over 10 years would be $1.427 million. That goes up now to $1.548 million. In addition to that would be the INS payments plus your base year payments, whatever they're paying today. So it would be a little bit higher than that. The INS payment, the INS tax rate's very low. So that's only about $80,000 over the term. And then these projects, of course, they depreciate pursuant to state statute. So it's a rapid depreciation. At the end of the abatement, the project will be valued at $29 million. And so at your tax rate, that comes out to about $117,000 a year. That would be at the current tax rate. In 10 years, your tax rate might be different. Plus you have your IRS, and then you would also have your, the base year continues on forever. And then in addition, your neighboring jurisdictions receive the benefit, the full benefit of their tax rates. So the last slide highlights some of the things that we put into a prior agreement based on the public comments. We had water restrictions. We note that this project has not acquired any water rights. We'll keep the restriction language in the agreement, but at this point, that doesn't seem like it's even a possibility. We put in some significant setbacks, environmental remediation provisions, and then no conveyance to a tax exempt entity with some concern that you give an abatement, a project sells to somebody like CPS, and now it becomes tax exempt, and so you never really get the benefit of that end of the abatement term. So we've got that provision built into your agreement. In terms of some of the other things that I heard this morning, so decommissioning we discussed, feasibility we discussed. Again, on roads, this project doesn't appear that it's gonna have an impact on county roads. If there is an impact, reimbursement will be required under the agreement. If we decide we need a road use agreement, we can add that. And then the 50% abatement is typically in excess of the county public safety expenses for a facility like this. A single-use facility doesn't typically have a lot of public safety pieces. So it's not a lot of money to either the developer or to the county. I think the judge asked at the last meeting the but-for question, if we don't do this abatement, would this project come here? I'll let the developer answer that. They've indicated in the past that the abatement is an important part of their decision to go forward. I think it's more about acceptance in a community than it is about the financial benefit. But the limitation on their site to prohibit data centers is something that's worth considering. That is something that you can't do on your own. So no abatement agreement, no reinvestment zone. They own the 3,600 acres. You don't have any control over what goes on that site. Property owners outside of municipalities can do whatever they want. So that, I would say, is a significant potential benefit to the county, something worth considering. And I will answer any questions you have.
Can we have a copy of all this?
You can. I've got.
They can request it from the clerk's office after.
I've got 10 copies, and we can probably put it up on the website. Yeah.
Does this include any properties that they do not either already own or have a complete?
You're gonna have to come to the microphone and repeat the question.
So her question was, I think, does the restriction on data centers apply to any other properties they own outside of the area we're talking about for the reinvestment zone? It would not for this. It would just be what the application covers.
Well, I tell you what, this is not a public hearing, okay?
Yeah, sorry. Can't do that. We're gonna have to stay with quorum, I'm sorry, okay?
Yes, I agree. I've been in
I do have a question though. Is this, all this acreage is privately owned or are there leases in this?
These are leases.
These are leases.
These are
Okay,
leases. And
that's-
the
all right.
state law requires that decommissioning language to be part of their lease agreement. The leases would be voted without that.
So this land is just leased?
Okay,
Land is.
The land is leased.
it's leased.
At least, they're not on
I don't know that. I don't know.
Okay, would you like to hear?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Let's move along.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name's Evan Mallett. I'm Director of Development for Scout Clean Energy and the lead developer for the Moonstone Solar Project here in Wilson County. There's a lot of people here that don't like data centers. We're not a data center. We don't develop data centers. I've barely even ever tried using ChatGPT. We don't have an interconnection request for a data center. This is just a solar project. I heard a lot of concerns both in the previous meeting and this one about, how the project will actually be developed, or that people just don't want it here, or they don't want it to be inappropriately developed or use resources. I think water resource came up a lot. We don't use water hardly at all, except for maybe an eye wash station for the people that work on site, or other sanitation issues. But any other power plant, like let's say this was a natural gas power plant, which is the most efficient of fuel burning power plants as far as water usage, that would use roughly 60,000 gallons of water an hour for the same size project. We don't use water like that at all. To the question regarding 3DI, I believe was the company. They can present plans however they please, but we don't have a contractual relationship with a data center. We don't have a contractual relationship with 3DI as far as selling power to them or anything. So we know about as much of their plans as the community here and the commissioners. Basically just what's in the news. I heard one of the concerns regarding fire risk as well. That California building caught on fire because of faulty, what's called an MC4 connector. Those connectors. But also, as far as the abatement is concerned, that doesn't change our taxing for the ESD. So emergency services, that tax entity still receives their full benefit. As far as why we have so much land, we have large landowners, and if we have an easement on that property, that counts as the whole of that property, right? And even if we're just putting a collection line or our gen-tie line to the property that we own for the connection point of our project to the grid, we have to account for all that acreage. We can certainly reduce the acreage, but again, one of the huge things that I've heard through this entire hearing is that people want restrictions on our development, and that's what we're here for. We're here to work with the county, work with the commissioners, the public, on what their concerns are, and put those into a development agreement. And that's what we were trying to work on with the county and the county as attorneys and advisors, is a development agreement. There's a cost to that, of course. When we're restricted on how far we can set back from properties or roads or whatever, or what acreage we can actually use within our property, we still have to pay rent on that. And there's a cost. And so we're not here just asking for a handout. We're here to offer a restriction on our development, but in return, help us pay for all those restrictions that we have. What we want to do, of course, is make sure that the county is getting their tax revenue every year on time, as opposed to fighting with whoever our taxing council is or whatever every year on how much our project is valued. We can put this into our financial model knowing what our tax is, and so can the county. And so I just want to make sure that everyone in the room understands we are not a data center. We don't build data centers. We're here just to work with the county on how we develop the project in the best way that the county wants us to, as opposed to just doing it how we want to or how somebody else wants to. We're here to work together. Commissioners have any questions?
I'll ask a question again.
Yes, sir.
You know what it is.
So
If we don't give you an abatement, are you still gonna build it?
we're gonna try everything that we can to continue building. However, having these agreements in place shows that, to our off-takers who we bid these projects to, that there is actually an agreement in the county that we know what we're developing. The county has sort of a share in the say in the project.
I asked that, not on my behalf, but our constituents want to know.
Yes, of course.
All right.
But we will try everything that we can to develop it. It is, Texas is a race to the bottom as far as power prices, which is good for the public, of course, where there's a lot of companies that are battling to get to that lowest price per megawatt hour to be able to get their projects selected. And we're another one of those projects, so every little bit helps us to be competitive in this, in the marketplace, because again, it's an open market.
And this will be connected to the Eagle Creek substation, correct?
This is actually being connected to what's it's a line tap, so there's a piece of property where somewhere along that line, CPS, because they own that transmission line, will be building out a line tap station or a small substation that just basically is a breaker for us to connect into, transmit onto the grid. Also, just a note, yes, we're connected to the 138. I'm not entirely aware of where 3DI's project is.
On the other side of the highway, 181, much further south.
Yeah, my understanding is that they're connected
Well, I
to a
understand.
345 kV line, I believe, or trying to. Again, I know about as much as y'all do.
Yeah. So if you're risk averse, us negotiating this abatement agreement gets you the guarantees that you want, gets you no water usage, gets you the best deal you can get on setbacks, those kind of things to make it visibly appealing. There's a lot of things that we haven't discussed that would be discussed at the public hearing in a few weeks. And so you have to ask yourself, I guess if they're only truly, I think, what is it, 1,400 acres is what you're truly putting in solar panels and power lines, right? Something like that.
Yes, sir.
So if we take 1,400 acres, in worst case scenario, it's 4 lots an acre, that's 5,600 new homes in that area, times 4 people per home, that's over 10,000 population, times 200 gallons a day for water. So you're getting up in the millions of gallons of water a day, just for people. That's the difference in what we have to be able to control. If we don't negotiate agreement with them, they can work other deals, they can sell water, they can do whatever they want to do. I mean, and that, to me, that's the risk. I see one of my neighbors over there I'm directly impacted by this project, so is my son. And we've had some long discussions about it, But in order to maintain the peace and quiet, tranquility, yes, there would be a certain construction period, as there always is, whatever goes, it's built in this county. But in the long term, solar doesn't make much noise. You might get a little buzz at the transformers, but that's about it. And I think with the size of the acreage that they control, the 3,600 acres, you've got a very large buffer. Very large buffer in most places. There's some places where it might be a little tight, but so that's what you have to weigh. And I'll be honest, after the last commissioner's court, I got a call, or not a call, but I got an email from a gentleman that lives in Lavernia. He goes, if I understand what happened today, then that means they can go and do whatever they want to do. And I said, yes, sir, that's correct. If we don't go through this process, and this process is not over today. There is an opportunity to provide public input, and it comes time to do that here in a couple, 3 weeks, when we actually have an abatement agreement to look at. So there's still another opportunity to look and see what things that you can come up with. And Ms. Kitty will tell you that when we went through this with the Clear Fork deal, a lot of the things that she recommended and a couple other people, we put in those abatements. And so they're there. And since then, we've learned a little more. And so there's probably a couple of more things we would put in there. So while you're sitting here saying, we're not watching out for you, I think we are. But then because the alternative is no control at all, period, none whatsoever. That means if they want to go build out that full 3,600 acres and amend their leases or whatever, they can do it. They don't have to come to us. They don't have to ask us. They can just do that. They can put it right up against property lines without any kind of barricade or screening or whatever you want to call it. There's no option. It's too late then. We gave it all up. So that's what I want y'all to understand out of this deal. It's not an easy decision for any of us, but I think in the long term, and with the guarantees that we get that it all gets removed when the project is complete in 25, 30, however many years, I think it's a win-win for everybody because you save. I mean, I didn't even talk about if we have another 10,000 residents, what does that cost us in police protection? Right now, today, a police officer costs you about $100,000, and his car probably costs you close to $75,000 a year. That's just what it costs. It's expensive, just like everything else, you know. So that's the alternative, because you're not going to get the value out of this that you'll get out of this deal in homes, in their taxes. So, do y'all have any other questions?
Well, on the last one, our officers don't get paid that much money. It's just that all the benefits that are associated with keeping them employed cost that much.
That's their loaded salary.
Yeah.
I mean, who's bought a new truck lately? Come on, I know somebody has, because I parked next to it out there. But y'all know what a new truck costs. I bought one 7 years ago and I paid less than $50,000 for it. That same truck today is about $70,000. You know, I mean, everything's going up. Yeah, might be now. I have a price on it. I'm not gonna get into it. But thanks for being here and making the presentation. No, ma'am, not at this point. This is not a public hearing.
You can go to the clerk's office and get their PowerPoint there.
At the public hearing, next time, it'll be a public hearing.
Not yet.
No, we have a tentative date.
They haven't agreed to have
It's tentatively September 14th if we meet all the other requirements and get everything set. So it won't be any earlier than that, right, Mr. Felipe?
First public hearing would just be on the creation of the reinvestment zone. That's the first step, and then there would be a second meeting on the tax abatement. You could create the reinvestment zone with no obligation to do the tax abatement. These incremental steps.
That's what we're doing. We're taking one baby step at a time.
Okay, thank you. All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion on agenda item 10A.
There is none. We agree that it's complete, right, Ms. Fernandez? Procedurally, you wanna address that?
Yes, so procedurally, the application is completed. It satisfies the requirements of your policies.
All right, I'll proceed with the motion if anybody has one.
I'll make a motion to consider development agreement for reimbursement of county expenses only with Moonstone Solar / Scout 30.
Wait a second.
To be clear, how did you say that? Because I'm
said-
looking at the agenda item.
Yes. I said to develop an agreement for reimbursement of county expenses only with Moonstone Solar and Scout Energy.
So on the initial item, I find the application to be complete, it meets procedurally, your guidelines, but that is a determination that you'll have to make first. That's, under your guidelines, that's a decision made by the commissioners. So if you find it to be complete, based on my recommendation, that's the first item you would take up, and then secondly, the development agreement.
Okay. All right, then, I'll go back to I make a motion to declare the amended application submitted by Moonstone Solar / Scout Energy for completeness under the Wilson County Policies and Procedures Guidelines. And to proceed with diligence on the project, including consideration of a reinvestment fund at a future meeting. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, do I have a second? I'll call for a second again, is there a second? There's no second, motion dies for lack of a second. Just bypass 10B, because we were only have to go with that one, right? All right. Agenda item number 11, we have Commissioner Martin, Precinct 1, discuss and take action to declare Volvo L70 loader as surplus and to authorize the sale of the loader on the Gov Deals app auction.
Yeah, so,
That's not a current vehicle, right? That's, you're buying a new one, right?
no, I already got my.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right.
So, yeah, so basically I received my new loader, last week, so I'm ready to declare this one surplus and sell it. I'll make a motion to declare the Volvo L70 loader as surplus and authorize the sale of the loader from the Gov Deals auction site.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner King. Commissioner, did everything get signed? You sent me an email last week.
Yes. The county attorney said all that miscellaneous, what warranty, and stuff like that.
Okay, very good, all right. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion regarding agenda item number 11? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, ayes have it, motion passes. Agenda item number 12, discuss and take action on corrections to the 2027 approval county holidays. Independence Day holiday will be observed on Monday, July 5th. We had a little correction on that, Commissioner, so we had to bring it back to court to get it approved.
Judge, I gave this a lot of thought and I didn't have a good answer when we approved these, but I still don't have a good answer, but I know there's probably a lot of people that would like to have a floating holiday. I know, the ones over in Stockdale would probably like to be off on Stockdale Watermill Jubilee. We take, as a county, we take, peanut festival off, Vernia events, so I don't know if we can make this one, for this year, a flex holiday. Ms. Boots, how much stirring up problem would that be if we gave them kept floating holiday?
As far as on a payroll
Yeah,
standpoint,
Yeah,
it
no problem.
shouldn't.
I kind of look at it, Commissioner, the same way we do our volunteer community work with the food bank and stuff, and we let them go on duty. I don't have any problem with letting an employee go vote while they're working for the county. They're not gonna be gone a long time.
Well, that's not the point of this. The point is they want to take off for their birthday. Or, they may be in the middle of the week or whatever. I don't know.
So what day would you want to pull?
Well, I don't think it matters. We'll need to write a policy for it, I guess. But, I would just say, if you're gonna take it in January, then you would use your January 1 or January 4th as your floating holiday, and just write on there, January 8th or whatever, the floating holiday.
You're basically saying where they can choose what they want.
So they can choose a day.
Administration day off the year.
So as far as a payroll standpoint, that's gonna be a little bit more work on our end, because then if one tries to use it for a second time, it happens, they could have forgotten at the beginning of the year, we would have to keep track of that. If that's something y'all would be for and consideration for, then that's something we would do. If you're asking my opinion, that would entail a little bit more work on our part to keep track of that.
So, I guess thinking about it, then we'll just move this day.
Okay. So as it stands now, corrected, I'll entertain a motion on agenda item number 12. We can consider that next year when the judge comes in, he's not there right now.
Make a motion that we approve the county holidays as presented and noting that Independence Day will be observed on Monday, July 5th.
Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner King. Do we have any other discussion regarding agenda item number 12? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, ayes have it, motion passes. Agenda item 13, we have Genevieve Martinez, County Clerk, discuss take action on setting sheriff's and constables fees for 2027.
Okay, so they should be in your package, and there was a question last time by Commissioner Morton about the fee that said fees for sale of real estate by virtue of order. I did reach out to Judge Dillingham, and she hasn't had that happen. I checked the fees for every other county, and nobody had that fee listed. So then I called my rep at the SOS, and he said, take it off if it's okay. You're not using it. Nobody uses it. And again, after I did that, I reached out to Judge Dillingham, and she said, yeah, she did not have a problem with that.
So now it's off.
It's off. So the one you have right now, it's off of there.
Okay, so you have two on there. One's the old one and the other one's a crooked.
Oh, I don't know. She might have left the old one on there.
She did, okay.
But it's, the new one does not have that on there.
It's corrected on the second one.
Yeah, it's 2 pages. And again, just to remind you, I did reach out to the sheriff and the constables, and nobody said they wanted to change anything.
We good, Sheriff? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion on agenda item number 13.
Make a motion that we accept the sheriff's and constable fees as presented by the county clerk for 2027.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner Cordova. Any other discussion regarding the agenda item 13? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item number 14, we have Jason Causey, Director of Information and Technology, discuss and take action on the Taxi IRA website migration and hosting contract approval. Mr. Causey, your floor.
Okay, this is for approval for the migration to the new ADA compliant website with Taxera. And that includes the ADA tools, ADA accessibility compliance tools, and the agenda manager tools. And the annual fee would be, hosting fee would be approximately $13,000 per year, and the migration would be $18,500.
We have that built in the budget for this year. I mean, that's part of what we're going to discuss this afternoon, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is significantly lower than the last quote I brought forward, I think by 10K. We were able to negotiate a lower price.
Do we need to approve this today, or, I mean, that's what's an action item.
And yet, I would like to approve it today, just so I could get it done before first of the year.
You gotta make sure your budget or not.
Yes, sir. I just want to get it, as long as we get it done in 2026, we can, it'll be a lot cheaper. We go into 2027 and do this, price goes up significantly.
Correct. That's the reason we wanna make sure it's within your budget currently until into the.
Oh, factored in for this budget.
For this budget that we're working on now, that would be 26, 27.
Yes, sir.
That's totally
Yeah,
out there.
But, well, he said as long as he gets it done by the end of the year. Are you talking about this current fiscal year or the end of the calendar year?
The end of the calendar year, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
And that price from TAC is still good till next year, or next fiscal year?
As long as we do it inside of the 2026 calendar year.
I think that's what we were trying to, well, that's what I'm saying, it would be done in the calendar year. I don't know, what's the budget implication there for funds?
I'm looking right now, we would have to see if it's in his budget. I would have to look, we would have to sit down and look, because, I mean, I see that there's funds, but that doesn't mean that there's something not gonna come out in the next month or two. So we would need to look to see if you have funds this year. I mean, it's not budgeted, but if we can consolidate, do a budget amendment to make that happen, then we would just have to sit down and look at your line items.
Because if it's within today's budget, where we can get it, take it out of the next budget, it's gonna help us.
How soon will we know he has the funds so that we can decide on a budget amendment?
I would have to look at his line items, and like I said, look at his historical purchases, if there's some, technology items, or if there's software that hasn't come out, like right now. There's I am anticipating a $20,000 payment to go through for CBW government, which I'm assuming that's the software. So there's purchases that have been done. I don't know if they're reoccurring purchases. That's something that we would have to sit down and look at.
Okay.
Any suggestions how you want to proceed? All right, I'm going to entertain a motion. Agenda item number 14.
I mean, I guess there's no reason not to approve it. Do you think there's money for this budget year? I know that's a loaded question, but I mean, it might require a small budget amendment.
For $13,000 right now,
And then 18,000 next time.
on the back
Yeah, so
side.
when would the payments have to be made this year?
I didn't get that information, sir.
But I guess, so do they pay their annual fees, are they for the fiscal year or the calendar year? Do you know?
Or for the fiscal year.
For the fiscal year, okay. So then that means that if we approve the migration for the 13,000, we should be good there. And then we need to put 18,000 in next year's budget for that item. And that will be a reoccurring cost that will probably go up a little bit.
The recurring cost would be 13,000 approximately.
Oh, it's the other way around, okay, whatever.
It looks like he has about 30,000 in small equipment right now, so if we can use that.
Yeah, I think you said you're kind of good on that, right? On both fingers are crossed.
Yeah.
We can use that out of today's budget.
Well, I would say to try to do them, you know, because we want them to start working on the migration right now, so that it's done. And the others wouldn't be due until October or sometime thereafter, whenever they bill us for that annual fee, so the motion could be to pay for the, website update, 18,000 right now. Right, 18, and then, or you put the 13 in budget for next year.
You making a motion?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just saying that fit everybody's.
Do you have a bill? Do you have something that we can look at?
I have a quote that I sent everyone.
And I think Mrs. Huron already looked over
Is, how time
the contract as well.
It's not, no way.
you want us to table it, you return next time after we get all the information, whether we can do the amendment, that would be good?
Yes, sir.
Motion to table, gentlemen.
Motion to table. Second.
Motion Motion made by Commissioner King, seconded by Commissioner Aiken to table. All those in favor say aye. All those against? Ayes have it. Motion is, the table 14 is in effect. So we tabled it. It means we gotta come back.
Yes.
Can't wait. All right, y'all, you understand, we're gonna have to put it back on the agenda again. Okay, very good.
Right, what your budget is.
Yeah.
And so you can give it.
Yeah, 2 weeks to get that.
And then we can get all that.
No, we're having a budget meeting this afternoon, we gotta decide what we're gonna do.
You bring it back to court.
Yeah, it's recorded. Okay, very good. Thank you. Agenda item number 15, discuss and take action on request for Commissioners Court review of tax assessor collector determination under tax code 33.001A1 regarding Kirchhoff Family Farm LLC. We need to have our tax assessor collector up here this morning. Let me ask, do we have any, the Kirchhoff family here? Okay, very good, okay, so thank you. All right, kind of educate us on this, what's the deal here?
Okay, so I provided each of y'all with a printout of the timeline of how we got to this point. Do you want me to go over everything?
Yes, please, I mean, it's an action item that we could possibly take, so I'd like the court, you have briefed me, but the commissioners have not been fully briefed.
So on, what?
Where's your email on it?
Okay, so I don't know if we should let Mr. Kirchhoff talk, and then we,
Do you want to go first, sir? Absolutely, come on up.
Well, Judge Whitman and Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to present this matter today. My name is Don Kirchhoff, and I'm here on behalf of Kirchhoff Family Farm LLC, and regarding our 2022 property tax account, I am appearing under the Texas Tax Code 33.011, paragraph A1, which requires the waiver of penalties and interest when a delinquency is caused by an act or omission of the county and the taxpayer did not receive the tax bill. In this case, Wilson County Appraisal District mailed our 2022 tax bill to an incorrect address. They used zip code 99999. That's an invalid zip code. The U.S. Post Office returned the bill as undeliverable. Because of this, because of this addressing error, we never received the tax bill. Once we learned of the delinquency, we paid the entire tax bill immediately. The only remaining issue is the penalties and the interest that accrued solely because the bill was mailed to an improper address. Your offices already have the complete evidentiary record, which includes my July 31st submission to the Commissioner's Court, my July 30th unified mega text package, my August 4th escalation letter, and all the supporting exhibits, the U.S. Postal Service documentation, and delivery confirmations. This record clearly shows the county's addressing error and returned mail. On August the 3rd, the tax assessor collector acknowledged both the returned mail and the addressing error, but nevertheless denied the waiver. That determination is inconsistent with the tax code 33.011, paragraph A1, which makes the waiver mandatory when county error causes the delinquency. I respectfully request that the Commissioner's Court approve the waiver of penalties and interest under the tax code 33.011, paragraph A1. The statute is clear, the evidence is complete, and the county error is undisputed. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'd be willing to answer any questions the court may have.
You different address now. Has it been corrected now with the
Yes,
taxes? Okay,
this is now
that's out of the way.
That's correct. Going forward, I think we're great.
All right, sir, thank you. I'll let Ms. Barnett come up with Brad from Lima, but then I'll have some questions of you after this. I'm sure all of us will. Okay, all right, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, so February 13th, 2022, there was a general warranty gift deed filed by the Kirchhoff family. The grantor was Wilma Kirchhoff, the grantee was Kirchhoff Family Farm. On this deed list the address of 1444 County Road 120, Floresville, Texas. This document was filed in the official public record, was provided to the appraisal district, who updates the address, and it reflects on my side. We did not make an error. There was no error caused by the appraisal district or the tax office.
How did he get the wrong zip code, sir? What was it?
It's not the wrong zip code. The address on the deed that was provided by the family was wrong. This is not an error on the appraisal district or tax office side. This is a document that was filed in the official public records.
And that's in our clerk's office?
Yes,
that
sir.
document.
Yes.
Brad, you,
I have Brad with Limewater.
So, good evening, or good morning, everyone. So essentially, what we're stating is that under the tax code 33011C, for the purposes of this section, a property owner is considered to have furnished a current mailing address to the tax unit or appraisal district if they have received a recorded instrument transferring ownership of real property and the current that's filed with the county. Excuse me. Now, since the taxpayer provided the address, section F implies that they are not entitled to relief under subsection if the property owner or the owner's agent furnish an incorrect mailing address for the appraisal district or the county. So in fact, the county is entitled to rely on the address included in that conveyance. Should I get some water?
Yeah. So here's the other question I'm asking. How did this happen all of a sudden? He's been paying all these years. How did it just now happen?
So with that being said, he sent in a trailer renewal to my office for the farm. He does not reside in Wilson County, but being that he has a farm and has a ag exemption on the property, we do that as a courtesy to renew trailer registrations or renewals. When my clerk looked up the information to match his driver's license to the farm to make sure it coincided, I advised them they brought it to my attention that there were delinquent taxes on there. So I advised them to mail a statement of account with his renewal so that he was made aware of it. Otherwise, nothing would have been filed with the appraisal district. This is how he received notification, was by courtesy of my office.
Go ahead, Brady. Come on.
So in essence, that's the problem here. The address that was used was furnished by the taxpayer in this conveyance. And therefore, there's a presumption that a current mailing address was filed, and the county is entitled to rely on that presumption. That's just what they did.
During the course of the time, Limewater was sending delinquent notices and letters going, hey, you're in arrears on your taxes, and you need to pay. Was any of that mail coming back undeliverable, or?
The evidence that he submitted was the Wilson County Appraisal District. I don't believe there's any Limewater mailing to it.
Okay, well, I guess I'm following, the knowledge that I have about it is that whenever y'all determine that someone has gone delinquent on taxes, then you reach out to them, and you're doing it at the very same address that the taxes were sent, going, we want to take and advise you that you're in arrears, you need to pay, or this can go to next level. And so were those documents being received by somebody at that address and they go, not me, and throwing it away? Or were y'all getting return mail going, it's undeliverable?
Commissioner, I don't have any evidence that we had mailed on this. If there was, it's not included in the packet. But we rely, again, on the certified tax form.
Sure.
We have no authority to change it, nor does the tax office.
I also want to say that the 2022 tax statement was mailed to the address of 1444 County Road 120 and was not returned to my office. And that was the address that was provided on the deed. The 2022 tax statement was not returned.
Mr. Kirchhoff, go ahead, come on.
Thank you. What I'm forgetting to tell you is that there's two pieces of critical information. We have a 200-acre property, which for many years, we were receiving tax bills and paying taxes. What they're failing to tell you is that the gift deed is a single 1 acre, where somebody made a mistake on that and they picked that up. And they changed the address on our 200-acre property, as well as having the address incorrect on the 1 acre property. So for 4 years, and that's in the documentation, they, as you questioned, mailed something to an incorrect address, and it was always returned to them. That information is from the post office. They've got 4 years of returned information going back to the tax office. So we never had any idea that a 2022 tax was not made until, and I do appreciate that finally in late November of 2025, they sent this statement, which I have right here, a statement of account, and it's addressed to the wrong address, and it does have the zip code 9999. I doubt seriously that that was the zip code on the gift deed. This is a zip code that the tax office put in their record as our mailing address. So no, this would never have reached us.
So let me ask you this question, Mr. Kirchhoff. So you had been, prior to this discrepancy you're alleging, you had been paying taxes on that property for previous years, no?
Many years, yes.
So would it have come to thought, like, why am I not getting a notice on this property?
No, that's, we have always paid tax bills when we got the tax bill. There's no problem
Like,
with
I'm
that.
not trying to say what it have
Right.
given you some thought, like, why am I not getting something on this property to pay my taxes? So you paid it before, but then those notices weren't coming in again. Did that
You
ever?
know, we were getting other documents and mail, like was stated for the farm tax trailer, and that is where they put this statement of account that we finally got notification that we even had a tax liability sitting there with the county. So, and this tax code that I'm talking about is only dealing with the county error in sending a tax bill to us. But when they sent it to us, we paid the entire tax bill. The only outstanding issue is the interest and the penalties that are accrued over that period of time. And yes, the county, for the entire period, had our correct address. They were communicating with us that way. They just took the correct address off of their record for the 200-acre property, put the incorrect address in there, and mailed it to us for 4 years, and all of those came back to the county because in the evidence package you got, the post office return record is in there.
Mr. Rao, I'm going to review this as a legal.
Let me ask a couple of questions, because I'm a little bit confused. So the, you split off an acre off of 200 acres, is that correct?
No, my dad had died, my parents had died, and our stepmom was living out there. And when she died, the gift deed then gifted that 1 acre to the LLC. We never owned the LLC.
Okay, let me ask this a different way then. What taxes are we talking about that haven't been paid? Maybe Ms. Barnett can help me or somebody. Is it the 200 acres or the 1 acre? Which one has not been paid or both? Both, okay.
No, all taxes have been paid.
Well, they have been paid now, but before, the 200, it involved both the 200 acres and the 1 acre.
That's correct.
Right. Okay, so are you saying that the 200 acres was originally being mailed to you and then that got changed?
Yes.
And, and that's based on this gift deed that was filed back in 2022, is that right?
The answer is
February 2022.
Okay. And that only dealt with the 1 acre, but you're saying it changed the 200 acres as well as the 1 acre?
yes.
Okay.
And left it that way for 4 years while they were getting returned mail from the post office, and we were receiving none. And that's what the tax code addressed. The county's error in the address that for 4 years was not corrected.
Where is this address that's listed on the deed? Does anybody reside there? Is that just an
No,
address
it's a
that doesn't
non-existent
exist?
address. Even on the deed is that address does not exist. And subsequent to that, the county even changed the zip code to 99999. So there was all kind of things going wrong here. We couldn't get the tax bills for 4 years. And when we did, we paid 100% of the tax in a few days.
So the tax statements were mailed to the 78114. Once we receive a returned piece of mail, the appraisal district does change the zip code to 9999 so that it's marked as an undeliverable address.
Okay, one question, so when they split out that acre from the 200 acres, did the change, was the address of theirs then changed to this 1444 CR 120 on the 200 acres as well?
I would have to go back and look, but yes, I believe so, because the address was changed on both accounts to match.
And that's the address that you had?
Correct.
Okay.
And that would, yes, that's done at the appraisal district, the address. But once again, the address was provided by the taxpayer by filing that deed.
And is the 200 acres, is that also being taxed to the Kirchhoff Family Farm LLC? Or is that being charged to someone else?
It shows Kirchhoff Family Farm LLC, the
To
same.
both 200 and the 1 acre?
Correct.
And the taxpayer is Kershaw Family Farm LLC. And no, Kershaw Family Farm LLC did not provide that deed.
Okay.
That was deeded to Kershaw Family Farm LLC.
So this $5,130.25, this is a late fee of some sort, correct? This is not what they actually.
Correct, those are penalties and
Delinquent,
interest.
okay.
Yes. And I provided y'all with the spreadsheet that shows the breakdown. And it's broken down by taxing entity as well.
Are we sure this is not gonna happen again to these folks? Are they got the right address, everything's good?
He has updated his address with the appraisal district.
Okay.
Let me look at the stack.
And if I'm not mistaken, he would need to go to each taxing entity
and have them request the same thing.
Yeah, the waiver, that's the other thing I was gonna ask. I assume the penalties and interests aren't all ours. I mean, they belong to other
Yeah.
entities.
Yeah.
I mean, the statute specifically addresses, an error made by an officer, employee, or agent of the taxing unit. And somebody made a mistake, but I don't think it was the taxing unit. If I'm understanding correctly, that the Farm LLC is the same one that's paying taxes for both entities.
Right.
So they treated that as a change of address, which I guess, would be a normal thing to do. You get a new deed, you get a new address, somebody screwed up on the address. So I don't believe it's a shall have to, have to give, the penalties and interest. But again, yes, that there would be other entities involved that would have to waive their penalties and interest. And, they would have to, Evergreen or whoever, I don't know where the property is located, but whatever the other taxing entities are involved would have to be involved in this as well. So my opinion would be, we either table this to bring those other entities involved, or it be denied because it was not, in my opinion, you're the finders of fact, not me, but, that this was not a mistake by an officer, employee, or agent of this particular taxing unit or appraisal district.
Do you know offhand the other taxing entities, who would they be?
They're on the sheet.
Which one? Okay, I got it, all right, that's fine.
I can read them if
Is
you'd
the
like.
address on County Road 120?
It would still make sense because it says both ISD,
Yeah, that's-
but 120 is,
Yeah, 120.
No, that is not the correct address. That's the address that was shown on.
Non-existent address.
So both should be on
County
there,
Road
correct?
210.
Hope ISD should not be on
No, just change the County Road.
Yeah, no, Polk ISD is correct.
there? Okay.
The address is 1444 County Road 210 instead of 120, which was listed on the deed.
I would suggest, obviously with the approval of Commissioners Court, that this be tabled so that we can get with Lineberger, we can get with the other taxing entities and see what their position is, and see if we can't work out on something that's mildly satisfactory to anyone.
All right, we did give it our legal opinion, we have a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
Who was the second, I'm sorry? Was you, Commissioner Cook? Motion made by Commissioner King, second by Commissioner Curdo with the table, agenda item number 15. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, motion is tabled, continue on research. All right, agenda item number 16 is Wilson County Economic Development Corporation. 16A, discuss and take action on approving the contract between Wilson County and Wilson County Economic Development Corporation. If item A is approved, we have some public comments first. Let me get those out of the way, and then we'll bring you up, okay? Ms. Lowe?
I would like to request that you vote no on item 16A, B, and C regarding the Wilson County Economic Development Corporation, and give notice to the Wilson County EDC of intent to terminate. Formation of the Wilson County EDC has been questionable from the beginning and is lack transparency. Obviously, there have been meetings that have taken place with commissioners and various entities that call observance of the Texas Open Meetings Act into question. The voters of Wilson County voted for you, our commissioners, who did not vote for an economic development group formed largely of realtors to represent us and to bring large industrial investment to our county. Realtors on the Wilson County EDC board have met with members of the Moonstone Project, the Miss A Project, the Floresville Technology Campus, and unknown others. They have gone to the Attorney General's office to avoid answering freedom of information requests. So the effective date of unsigned instruments, which I had here, was October 1st, 2025. Now, 11 months into its term, it remains unsigned, and the Wilson County EDC proposes an extension for 1 year with no confirmation that it's fulfilled any of the requirements contained in the agreement since its formation. By signing this agreement, you're using taxpayer money to fund an organization that rural people in this county overwhelmingly oppose All counties adjoining Wilson County have responded with organizations to combat these unwelcome interlopers that bring little employment or advantage and urge you to support your constituents to prevent these companies from coming to Wilson County. The Texas Tribune polls now show that 60 to 70% of voters in Texas oppose the type of project that threatens our water, our health, and our environment, such as data centers, large transmission lines, and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Jody Noble?
Again, transparency. It's really what we're asking for. Every year we hand many tens of thousands of dollars of sales tax to type B EDCs for each of these cities. And then you turn around and give the people involved with the WCEDC public money to do the same thing. Without a vote, without a discussion, without a contract or deliverables and performance metrics of their productivity. Where are the good jobs? Where's the transparency? This has been going on for a really long time. In nearly all cases, it appears that the procedures through which government entities have funded this organization have been incomplete at best and absent at worst. Where are the agendas? Where are the minutes? Where are the notices? Records requests? It seems this whole chamber has been structured to avoid transparency. As if that isn't bad enough, the EDCs are taking public dollars and secretly recruiting industrial projects that the residents of Wilson County vehemently oppose. And we've collected thousands of petitions to back it up before this new data center and power plant was even discovered. We don't trust the WCEDC, and you've got to build trust to make this work. The SEDC never responded to our TPI request. Then they disbanded, and the WCEDC said they didn't have to. This WCEDC and its members have demonstrated that they are not ready for prime time. I say vote no on contracting with and funding the Wilson County Economic Development Corporation. It doesn't make sense.
Steve Browning? Scott? Terry Ward? Terry?
Y'all want me to talk now?
Yeah, you're on, you signed up for public comments, correct, Ms. Ward?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was in the parking lot, but yes.
Your last name, sir?
My name's Terry Worth. I'm here on behalf of Mission Rail Park. And I guess just for clarity purposes, Mission, in fact, can I give you these handouts for the commissioners and the judge? How many do they need? Yeah, just take those. Thank you. That package that is being shared with you all is on Mission Rail Park. This is the property that, excuse me, my client owns on Old Corpus Christi Road, County Road 128. They've been involved, the ownership, and I must say, as a real estate broker in the state of Texas, I am bound to also say that I have a partial ownership in this project. From the beginning in 2012, when the project became a reality, a partner and I had formed an LLC and put the property, the 1,003 acre site, under contract. It was owned by the Miller family. We were looking for a tract of land that would be conducive for rail service for an industrial park. And since that time, the park has the initial development of it was for basically rail infrastructure, that was done early on. And then years later, when everything has started to grow to the point where there was a lot of industry that was looking to locate a new plant in the state of Texas, we've gone in with CBRE is who I'm with. Our focus has been not data centers, because data centers don't have hardly any employees. And the reality with what we do with the project that we're underway, of which we're underway, it's jobs, creation of jobs, and what it can bring to the communities that we're involved in. I can understand the frustration with the community regarding data centers. One thing that a data center has is a lot of capital spent on it and everything else that goes along with it. But what is not normally a part of a data center operation is the jog down. So that's something that we have not been targeted on. We've got an industrial rail park. Data centers don't use railroads. So all that said, I would like to, in the essence of time, I'd like to share with you a letter that was.
Yeah, I don't mean to shut you down though, but if we have to stick to the rules, I may have to stick to 3 minutes, so I have to do the same thing.
Okay.
Unless you want to come back with the other people that are doing the development later on, at your location, I think they're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much, Jim.
All right, Mr. Talley, you're up.
Okay, we have a presentation we're going to go over, so there we go. So I'm Jason Talley, the president of the Wilson County Economic Development Corporation, and I wanted to go through a presentation for the public just so that we all kind of have an update of what this organization does and what it does not do, and why regional economic development, business recruitment, and the broader tax-based matter. And here's our mission statement. It's to achieve economic growth in Wilson County, Texas through job creation, business development, workforce readiness by promoting vocational and technical education as pathways to lasting prosperity. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide. So why were we created? This occurred in the 90s. We actually had a similar organization like this in Wilson County. I don't know why it fizzled out at some point, but we see the need for this because of additional activity outside of city limits, and a lot of the activity is in the county, and so we needed somebody to have that representation. It's a countywide organization built to compete regionally and work locally. It's a private 501c6 membership-driven nonprofit. So private means that we don't have to abide by the Texas Open Records Act. We've got 4 city partners. We have 1 countywide economic voice and a regional partner that we work with quite often. That's Greater SATX out of San Antonio. Once again, our focus is on job creation, workforce readiness, responsible business investment. And it was built around collaboration with Floresville, Lavernia, Poth, and Stockdale. So what we see in our community, as we all know, we're from different parts of the community, and every town has its own personality. And we really wanted to work hard to collaborate more with all those entities and provide help where help is needed. Now, it's modeled on a regional economic development model that's similar to other counties. For example, Barrett County contracts with Greater SATX. Kendall County contracts with the Bernie County EDC. Medina County, Atascosa County, Guadalupe County, Comal counties, those are just a few in the region that do this very thing. They contract with a private 501c6. And that organization then would be the point person for economic development opportunities within the county. So this is nothing new that's being done with our organization. So let's go to the next slide. What WCEDC does and what we don't do. And I think the distinction matters when evaluating the organization. Our role is to provide information and respond to prospects, make introductions and connect resources. coordinate site visits and RFIs, connect employers, utilities, and workforce, help bring the right parties to the table. And what we don't do is tax rates, tax abatements, zoning, permitting, private land sales or purchases. Which companies inquire about Wilson County? We don't control that. Final decisions of cities, schools, county, and other taxing entities. Next slide. Economic development, we believe, is regional. This is the approach that most of the surrounding counties have taken. This is the approach that Bexar County and Greater SATX has taken. Instead of just focusing on Bexar County, they have created a region that's all the counties surrounding Bexar, and that has been the approach. And so we see a win in our region that creates jobs, construction activity, and economic value, benefits Wilson County. So a win in our region, whether it's in the county or it's in another county, is a win for all of us. Greater SATX provides a regional channel for business inquiries and RFIs. A lot of that information is funneled from the governor's office to their group. We get leads from them, and it gives us a local organization ready to respond and coordinate to sites and follow through. So next slide. The work is already underway. We had Mr. Worth up here who represents Mission Rail Park. We've had multiple site visits out there. Now, the nice thing about that particular park is it already has the rail infrastructure there. So every prospect that comes out there or that we would be looking at needs to have a rail component. There's no point in building a rail park if it has no rail component. Another thing too, if you recall, there was a grant issued in the Stockdale area for a medical facility. Well, those things just don't always just happen by themselves. Yes, the city government can move forward with trying to execute that, but Jennifer Baird, who is our executive director, has been working with them on making sure that that gets followed through, making sure it gets complete. Another retail project that just inquired with us literally last week. It's a project in Livonia. The land's already bought. It's a retail type project. We made contact with them and had discussions about, what some of the next steps might be. The last box there is connector. We talked about collaboration, but we're a connector for a lot of these things. Sometimes people come into a community and they don't know who needs to come to the table and have that discussion. So this was a discussion with a Livonia business owner that has developed quite a bit of property in the Livonia area that's done a tremendous job. And this was about a wellness center, a need for physical therapy type services. And so in essence, what we did is we connected medical facilities in our area to have conversations with them. The other thing I want to point out in bullet 2 is opportunity zone submission. The governor of Texas each year designates opportunity zones and designated, some were pulled out of that designation, but the designation we have right now encompasses pretty much the northeastern part or eastern part of the county, mainly the Stockdale area. And it's a submission that you submit to the governor's office, then they get it to the Department of Treasury, and then the Department of Treasury certifies those designations. Well, what that means is if we have a business locate or invest money in that area, they would be exempt from certain capital gains for building in that particular area. So that's a benefit for that part of the county. Commercial and industrial property identification and mapping. So we have Mission Rail, we have a business park here in Floresville. Stockdale has a really nice park that they brought some businesses to. Naturally, our first place to look at is we want to place businesses in those areas because they're already designated for that type of industry. Transportation, industry, recruitment, infrastructure discussions. Those are all going to be big needs. Infrastructure is probably one of the biggest challenges facing, development in this community. And exploration of vocational training. Naturally, we all know You see celebrities like Mike Rowe out there that's really promoting these things. This has become a huge deal. And I envision that at some point in time, we start some sort of vocational training school here in Wilson County. How we do it, we don't know quite yet. But everything starts with an idea. We just got to get to the finish line and what that looks like. Next slide, please. So this is just a sample, and I use smart growth because some of the folks that have spoken prior have used that term. They're not opposed to growth, but they want smart growth. So I believe that there's no better place to put someone that has a manufacturing capacity, that has a rail need, in a place like Mission Rail Park that's already trying to get established. These are some of the projects that have either been responded to or have had site visits. So myself, Jennifer, along with Mr. Ward, along with Mr. Vossler, who's one of the owner investors of the park, have made site visits with us and met with those prospects. It shows you some of their capital investment. Blue Genie, for example, $135 million, Artos $90 million, Mule Creek $75 million, Orca Power several hundred million. Look at the job numbers. 500, yes, we've got one there that's 23, but then we have 600 and 800. You look at the acreage needs. These are all acreage needs that would be within the park. I need to say that 200 acres of that park is in Bear County, 800 acres is in Wilson County. So naturally, when that is built out, Wilson County will see the greatest amount of impact in that park. Focused development where infrastructure, transportation access, and appropriate sites already exist, not haphazard development across the county. So we're not haphazardly trying to develop every acre in Wilson County. We're trying to place prospects like this in parks that can be accommodated, that are already positioned for that. Next slide. So, the work extends beyond one project or one business park. I've already mentioned a number of those things. Countywide, I'll just point that out. What that simply means is that we do have sites already in place that we need to make sure that they're inventoried and make sure that if there's an opportunity that they can be placed in one of those designated business parks. Mission Rail, we see weekly activity and inquiries. Some of that has come about because of the current president in place and just the freedom that capitalism has and the growth, especially with some of the tariff pressure that we've seen from other countries. And some of these things have been from other countries. History tourism is just another item I put on there because that's becoming a big deal and another way to have positive growth and people coming to your community using the history that we have locally in our area and promote that. Next slide. Rooftop growth cannot alone carry the long-term load. County costs continue whether the tax base grows or not. Roads, law enforcement, emergency services, employees, and equipment. Of course, we already have homeowners and landowners. We have some commercial and retail. But really what we're lacking is the manufacturing. And that is what's really going to have the largest impact on job creation at a larger scale. And the whole point of this is to add that value to the tax equation so we don't have existing taxpayers carrying the ever-increasing burden. I'm a homeowner, I'm a landowner, we know what that looks like, and it can be difficult at times keeping up with all that. Next slide, please. So let's talk about a sizable development. You saw on the previous slide some of those potential prospects. Now, I will tell you, this stuff takes time. It doesn't happen. You might respond to a prospect and you might still be working with them 2 years down the road. This is not immediate. I'm going to have Ken Cawthorn, our treasurer, come up and he's going to speak to some of the taxation and then I'll come back to the mic once you're done.
Morning, Commissioners, Your Honor, public. I need my glasses. I would also acknowledge something that I think has become part of the problem. It seems that both sides of this debate are talking at each other instead of listening to each other. I believe the people supporting economic development and the people raising concerns about development both want what they believe is best for Wilson County. I understand that the concerns about water, agriculture, traffic, infrastructure, growth, private property, and preserving the character of this county, and I think those concerns deserve to be heard. Where I struggle is not with the concerns themselves, but with some of the tactics being used to advance them. We can disagree about the direction that Wilson County should take without mischaracterizing what the Wilson County Economic Development Corporation does, what authority we have, or who is actually making the decision. If we're going to have a productive conversation about the future of this county, both sides have to be willing to listen, deal honestly with the facts, and recognize that disagreement does not mean the other side does not care about Wilson County. I want to start with something I think has gotten lost in the conversation about WCEDC. We are a separate organization. We are not a government agency. We are nothing more than information brokers, contracted, as Mr. Talley pointed out, much like other organizations are in this state. Earlier this morning, I believe you all approved a contract for the community reality project, right? Isn't that the same thing? They're a contractor, a vendor of the county. We're not here to try to do anything to help grow our community. We don't decide who sells their land. We don't decide who buys it, and we don't control which companies inquire about locating in Wilson County. If property is being sold, it's the property owner making that decision. In other words, your neighbors, not us. We've not encouraged anybody to sell their property. In many cases, those property owners are our neighbors. WCEDC is not selling their land, and they are exercising their private rights. Our role is much more limited and much more practical. We are a conduit. We provide information, make introductions, connect people and resources, and make prospective employers or developers understand what resources may be available in Wilson County. When an opportunity presents itself, we can bring that to the appropriate parties to the table. But the decision belongs to the landowners, the taxing authorities, and the municipalities, the school districts, and what other government entities have jurisdiction. And I want to be equally clear about something else. None of us wants Wilson County to abandon agriculture. Agriculture is our foundation of this county. It is part of our history, our economy, and our identity. And the reason why many families have been here for generations. We are not talking about paving over Wilson County. We are talking about whether a relatively small portion of land available in the county can be used to develop in a reasonable way that creates jobs, expands tax base, and benefits the people who already live in it. This Floresville example here says it all, folks. If we bring in $80 million of new taxable land, of development into this county, all the taxing entities in this county win. Starting with our school districts, our fire departments, we all win. $80 million of development in Wilson County generates $684,000 for Floresville ISD. $350,000 per year for the city of Floresville. $325,000 per year for Wilson County. $65,000 a year for Wilson County Hospital District, and approximately $15,000 a year for San Antonio River Authority. Also, I left out of that list were the emergency service districts. They also benefit by this. This is why I believe continued funding for Wilson County Economic Development Corporation is a bargain when you compare it to the cost of doing nothing. One successful business recruitment or one meaningful development will create new taxable value that produces revenue for years and potentially decades. To come in the Floresville example alone, Wilson County share of the annual property tax would be roughly $325,000 a year. That's real money, folks. This is important as you are getting ready to have a hearing this afternoon on your budget, and for the last several years, prudently so, you've used the general fund to help subsidize the tax bite to your citizens and taxpayers. The cost of the county goes up, people are moving in, it's been pointed out earlier, cost of services keep expanding. We don't have a choice, they have to be provided. We want a good hospital system, we want a good school system. We want all of these things, but we have to find a balance. There's been a lot of talk about tax abatement and it being a special deal. And before everybody roars, if we're gonna talk about tax abatements, let's talk about them all. Let's talk about how we all get ag exempts on our land. Could we control that much land if we didn't have that? So tax abatements aren't bad, they all have their purpose. Just like the agriculture abatement has its purpose, so we can continue to produce cattle and produce crops, it has its purpose. Some of these other abatements that we're talking about do have a purpose. As we all learned, and I learned for the first time in this room this morning, everybody's hands tied in this matter. If you don't do an abatement, and negotiate restrictions, there's no, this court has no standing. None of us do. It's above our pay grade. So I respectfully ask that you do approve the funding for the Wilson County Economic Development Corporation. I do ask that we make some tough decisions here together. And I would like to sit down with the folks and talk with them about what they really do want. We're not standing here saying we're pro data center. None of us are. But we don't control who knocks on the door. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ken. This is Ken Cawthorn. Of course, he's our treasurer and does a great job for us. The other thing I'm going to do is go to the next slide. And one thing we haven't talked about is the ripple effect, which is probably the biggest impact that you could see. This is information and some factors used from the Texas Comptroller's Office. State of Texas uses some different sets. Texas Economic Development can use some different ones, so they can all vary. But let's just take a $80 million capital investment, for example. The comptroller has used a 1.4 illustrative county output multiplier, which means 112 million. That simply would mean that if you had that kind of 80 million capital investment, construction work, and then those kind of things involved would have a $112 million impact. Now, that doesn't mean that all those dollars get spent locally, but in a sense, you could easily have that. But even bigger than that is a company that size, I'm assuming 100 employees, and very conservative $5 million payroll. And with that payroll, they say that even adds a larger multiplier of 3.3, which means 16.5 million. So you take investment, you take people that work there, and the 16.5 million could potentially impact the area. Now, not everybody's gonna live in Wilson County, but a good number of those folks probably would. So you have direct impact. Your direct impact is going to be your construction phase. Your indirect impact is going to be your supply chain phase. You know, materials in and out, bought and sold, etc. And then you have the induced impact, and that's the employees spending money in the local economy. So that kind of goes through the impact and the ripple effect that just one major investment could have from a company. Now, I think about future generations. I see a line of cars going to San Antonio every morning and every afternoon. And wouldn't it be amazing if they could drive 15 miles up from Floresville, turn left at Elmendorf, and go to work? They would actually all have a raise. Too many young people leave Wilson County for education or technical training and find that the careers they trained for are somewhere else. And so this would give people an opportunity to come back to the area. Next slide, please. I didn't tell you that. So it's a combination of education we've already talked about, the employers and their careers, and of course letting the families remain in these communities that many of us have remained here for years. You know, county funding is an investment in capacity. you're investing money as a partnership with us, so to speak, and you get investment returns. The investment returns is simply taxation dollars, more people working in the community, more people buying houses, etc. In addition to that, we also will be pursuing grants, workforce partnerships, infrastructure coordination, and business relationships. Cutting the economic development function does not stop development pressure. That pressure will continue to increase. It's just we don't have the capacity and the ability to meet some of those needs. So the choice before our county on building a broader tax base, or continue to put long-term pressure on the taxpayers already here. Economic development is not a degree of success or guarantee of success. It's the capacity to compete for success. What cutting economic development capacity means is the opportunities don't stop. Wilson County simply has less capacity to compete for them. The single greatest asset of economic development in our area right now would be a full-time person that can pursue these opportunities. Volunteers like myself and all these in the room, majority of us on the board are all business owners. And because of that, we have a business to run. And we've spent an awful lot of time doing this, and we enjoy it, and we love it. But you need a full-time person being able to do some of that work. I want to just kind of point out, if you'll go to the next slide, please, and the next one. Sorry, I moved on to the next one. Okay, I want to just point on this. We've already talked about what we are and what we're not, but I want to look at the right two boxes there. Criticism, which we've been getting a lot of, and sadly, there's not a lot of factual data to back that up, and that's what I really don't like. Criticism should be measured against what WCEDC actually does, not powers or motives the organization does not have. And then the practical question, does Wilson County want an organized economic development partner working to create local benefit when opportunities arise? And that's really the key there. So we need a seat at the table. Next slide. And why do we need a seat at the table? Because all of these things we just talked about this morning, a lot of those are going to happen whether we're involved or not. And if they do happen, we want to be able to have a seat at the table so we can help Wilson County negotiate things for the community that we would have never thought we had an opportunity to negotiate. I too want clean water. I too want plenty of water. I too want low noise, low lighting at night on those facilities. But that doesn't get done unless you ask for it and you negotiate some sort of agreement. And I think the larger risk is choosing not to compete. That's all I have. I do want to point out and introduce our board, if I may, please. We have Vice President Marcelo Alejas. We have James Frazier. We have Crystal Eckel. Fred Onesorge. We have Ken Cawthorn. In addition to that, we have Donald Fye out of the Lavernia area. And let me also just state where they're from. Marcelo Alejas is in Floresville. Ken Cawthorn, Floresville. Fred Onesorge, Floresville. J.C. Rubis had to leave to a appointment, but he's out of the Stockdale area. Felicia Carvajal, right here, Lavernia. Donald Fye, Lavernia area, he's out of town. And then, of course, we have Jennifer Baird there, who's been hired to do our work. We do have Mr. Daniel Santee here, who's our attorney that had worked to draft the agreement. So once we get to that phase of the discussion, we have him here if we need to answer any additional questions. Thank you for your time.
All right, Commissioner, do you all have any other questions of Mr. Talley or the WCEDC? Okay, before I go to this agenda item, gentlemen and ladies, y'all have done a fantastic job. Everybody wants to know where it was an idea that I sat down with Mr. Talley when I took office. And I'll tell you why. There was more people that met with me that are in this room that said, we have to do something for this county because our children are not coming back. And that was one commitment I made to my constituents if I got elected. We're gonna do everything we can to bring business to this community so that our children can come back. They're not coming back. And right now, we're in dire need of HVAC, plumbers, electricians. We're in dire need. I have a good friend that's in the industry, and he says that they're not making them enough. I know a lot of kids are wanting to go to school, be attorneys and doctors and stuff. These guys can get a certification in less than a year, and they're making $100,000 a year. And that can happen here if we get started now. We don't want to miss that opportunity. I want to tell you, thank you so much for good work. Appreciate it. Mr. Rath, I see you coming up, so if you want to come on up, you may. You might want to focus a little bit, because we talked about this last year. What type of people are you going to need at Mission Railway? What type of vocations will you need to bring those jobs that will stay here in this county?
Here's the, excuse me, the real reality about what you're saying. Most industry that we talk to and are in relationship with, they want to train their own people. Toyota trains their own staff, their own people on a continuing basis. Most industry today, they don't want to have someone come in that has had a culture that probably had good success with. But industry wants their own culture and their training specific to the manufacturing and the product that's being made there. So it's a wide range. And the good news is they love to get employees from the area around which the plant is located. So that's a big deal. Now let me share, that doesn't probably answer your question completely, but I'd like to read the letter that John Bossler from Mission Rail Park submitted to the Wilson County LSD, EDC. Can I read that,
Sure.
Judge? I am pleased to provide this letter of recommendation for the Wilson County Economic Development Organization and to recognize the valued support they have provided as we have worked to develop our business park in Wilson County. Throughout this process, Wilson County Economic Development has been an engaged and effective partner. Their team has participated in customer meetings, helped us present strengths and opportunities in the business park, and provided practical support as prospective customers evaluated the site and the broader Wilson County market. They have also helped connect us with the appropriate county contacts regarding permitting and relating development matters. Their knowledge of local processes and their willingness to help coordinate communication have been especially helpful in keeping our efforts moving forward efficiently. In addition, Wilson County Development has acted as an important conduit between our organization, Greater SATX, and the state of Texas. Their ability to facilitate introductions, share information, and align economic development resources have strengthened our ability to pursue opportunities for the business park and Wilson County. Based on our experience, we would recommend funding the Wilson County Economic Development entity. They have demonstrated professionalism, commitment, and a clear dedication to supporting the responsible growth in Wilson County. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners, you can either take action or no action, or I'm on 16A. I think we have, Mr. Round, have you seen the revised contract?
Yeah, I just texted her to make sure, yes, she's reviewed it and
She's good.
yes, she.
Okay, all right. I'll entertain a motion on 16A. All right, I'm going to ask the end, is there a motion on 16A? Okay, all right.
clear while he's researching this, this is directly to the EDC. I think if y'all would have brought this 10 months ago and talked to the public like this, it would be way different than where we are today. I've asked several times for this to come to the board, have a meeting with them for it, so people and all of our residents can understand what exactly is going on. Because when we don't communicate this stuff, this is what happens, right? So, I appreciate bringing this to us finally, and going from there, as well as the brief we got the other day. So, there are good things. We do want people to actually work from our county within. We do want to do that. We have problems with infrastructure. We have schools that are full. We can't do nothing. So, if we're doing good things like that, that's great. I see an Eccles down there. I see something about the East project that y'all could be bringing in, right? That could definitely help our people down there in Post, as they say, these are good things that y'all can bring in. That's what the community wants, is good growth, not just something that's gonna come in and fail within the next 5 years. They don't want that. I'm gonna get in trouble for this. We don't need another car wash, I promise you. We got plenty within the state. But that's what these people don't want.
Let me just comment on that company you talked about. They have their byproduct can be used in fertilizers. So that's, I wanted to comment, you mentioned that. And from that particular yeast process, that's a byproduct that could be used for fertilizers.
So, Libyansky can help with that as well. But that's what we want within this. I've listened to these people.
Okay, so my suggestion, and I never got a chance to talk to Evelyn to find out why she wants to leave the compensation at a fixed number. So if you look at paragraph E9, page 3, it says that when they submit their annual work plan, one of the things they're going to do is provide us the budget request for renewal, which means that they would make an ask for whatever it is that they feel they need for that year. Now, this contract fixes it at $100,000. And it also says that we shall pay. And I don't think that's what we want. I think we want the ability to change. Something happens, if we have a budget shortfall, revenues start falling off for some reason, we kind of want to reserve the right to execute changes across the board. So I would recommend that we change that language to that the Economic Development Commission would be paid up to, maybe paid up to the maximum that we budget each year. And then, because because they gotta ask us or tell us they're gonna renew each year, and we need to do that. That's my biggest thing about this. Move forward, to try to help eliminate any confusion in the future, because otherwise we're guaranteeing that we're gonna budget $100,000.
He's talking about this contract as of today, shall pay. That's one thing I have a problem with. Shall.
So we need to do a revision on.
What are you asking, Commissioner, so we can move on?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Mr. Rao, but I know Ms. Evelyn.
They have their counsel. Do you want to come up, sir?
Thank you, Judge. Dan Santee, Denton Navarro, Rodriguez, Bernal, Santee, Executive Legal Counsel, Wilson County Economic Development. also for the city of both, the city of Livonia, the Livonia NDD, the city of Scottsdale, and the Scottsdale EDC. So pretty much have it covered. As far as the wording, there's two things I want to point out. So even though they're fairly new and we don't have any outstanding grants now, having a known amount of funding is critical, because if we're the difference maker and extending a grant to somebody who's going to locate here, we have to know that those funds are going to be available. We have to be able to encumber those funds. So if we encumber funds and then you decide that, well, we're going to have a shortfall, so we're going to take this money back, that leaves the EDC in that situation. The other part of it is it's an annual contract. So if you don't want to budget $100,000, you control that. You control that this afternoon if you find us for the next year.
Right, that's the whole point, it's changing the clause, because, I mean, we did budget $100,000 for this year. But we didn't really get a clause in there, I don't think, that just kind of says how it's determined, what's going to be put in there next year. I understand what you're saying, that might be a special ask, but I think in terms of I guess forever contract, if I call it, it needs to be a little more descriptive of what's up, what's budgeted. Now, there's never, remember, we're a county government, so we're not bound to pay anybody. Our budget has to change to do something else, we can do that. Okay? Now, I was expecting that instance that he would come to us and say, hey, we got this grant, we need a match or something. You know, it's the end of the year, we paid our bills and we don't have enough money to cover it. That's a different issue.
So often for my municipal clients, and we'll add a phrase that says subject to availability or subject to appropriation.
Yeah.
If you want to add that, I mean, I don't have any objection to that. That was not requested by your legal counsel.
Well, she should have requested it.
We'll add that 3 times.
Yeah, subject to appropriation.
Also, we did add the section 4 indemnity A.
Yes, sir.
Clause, and I'm reading it right now.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, Councilman, yeah, you would, I'll let you, he's writing this, and we ought to let you look at it.
Yeah, sure. That's no problem.
Come up here if you want to look over your shoulder. If you can read his writing, yeah, you can. Well, you guys all write terrible stuff.
So the sentence now reads, the county shall pay the WCEDC a total maximum sum of $100,000, subject to appropriation by commissioners for specific appropriations. In other words, the $100,000 is subject to your making the actual appropriation. So if you make appropriation for 50, well, that's what it would be.
Okay, so are you wanting to put that in motion, or what? I'm not sure.
I would say you want to, if you all are going to approve the contract, that you're going to want to make a motion to approve it subject to that amendment.
Okay, very good.
And it's not written here, but that's a 2025-2026 contract.
But it's a recurring contract, so yes, it's a 2025 when it starts, I believe.
Well, but A and C are 2 different contracts.
A and C are two
Somebody knows.
25, one's for 26 and 27.
A is 25, 26.
Right, that's correct. So it would have to be.
And C will mimic A, will be the same contract.
Well, I mean, because what this agreement does, again, as I pointed out, it's under E is an annual work plan. They would need to submit to us. One of the things that they need to do is give us a budget request for next year. That was the whole point of making that work plan due in June. We get an update from them, we get their budget request, because that's when the budget's